Arlington ISD's Board of Trustees meeting on February 17th, 2022 is in the books, and I want to give you an update. The highlights of the meeting came early in the evening. Young Junior High's incredible choir, Young Men, got us off to a great start. And then we got to recognize more than 60 of our top high school students from across the district, including National Merit Scholarship finalists and College Board recognition students. After that, we covered a lot in this meeting, and here are some of the highlights. Our board considered and approved an easement for the City of Arlington to install, operate, and maintain a larger permanent public water main at the north and east boundaries of the Carter Junior High site. The City of Arlington will pay for the improvements, and our district in that area will benefit from improved water service. We also approved the district to enter into an interlocal agreement with Region 10 ESC Multi-Region Purchasing Cooperative. The cooperative gives us a substantial savings on many commercial food and food-related items. By volume purchasing with other districts through the cooperative, we can save more money than bidding for items on our own. In addition to approving these and other items, we also heard updates from the senior members of Arlington ISD staff. The first was from Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Stephen Wirtz, with a progress report about student outcomes on the middle of the year reading and math screeners for grades K through 7. This pertains to legislation from the state of Texas, House Bill 3, that requires all districts to develop goals and plans to improve in a number of assessment areas. The other major update was about the progress in our 2019 bond program, with 6 projects currently in construction, 4 projects in closeout, which basically means that they are done, 1 project in the bid phase, and 13 in the design phase. There's a lot going on. These projects under construction include 3 new schools, replacement facilities for Webb, Thornton, and Berry elementary schools. At Crow Leadership Academy, construction is already finished, with additions for new classrooms, a new kitchen, and a new gym. Not all of our elementary schools need additions, but they all need new playgrounds, and they're all getting them. 17 elementaries have the new playgrounds so far, with accessible equipment, shade structures, and rubber surfaces, no more rocks. Be sure to check out AISD.net/bond 2019 to see photos and learn all about the projects in the 2019 bond package. Those are just a few of the highlights from this board meeting. If you want more details on any of these or any of the items I didn't cover, you can watch the entire meeting. Just visit our board meetings webpage for a link at AISD.net. Until our next board meeting in March, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I really am back here. Guys, y'all look great. At this time, I will reconvene into open session this meeting of the Arlington Independent School District Board of Trustees for February 17th, 2022, beginning at 7:02 p.m. Members of the public may access this meeting via AISD website at www.aisd.net. We will start our meeting with the opening ceremony. Please join Mr. Justin Chapa in leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join Bowie Hogg in leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Please silence all cell phones and electronic devices to avoid disruptions around you. And now, if you would please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you very much. So the first item on our agenda this evening is our presentation in our program. Ms. Anita Foster.
President Mays, Dr. Cavazos, members of the board, we are so excited tonight because you are in for an incredible treat. Those of you that are here in person are just going to be blown out into the parking lot by this performance that we're going to have tonight. Those of you watching online will hit the replay button over and over because this group is so outstanding. This is the Young Junior High Choir Department. They have a tradition of excellence from students, their parents, our dedicated directors. The students in this choir are well-rounded and multi-talented, as you'll find out. Many are also involved in other things like athletics, fine arts, AVID, advanced academics, you name it, they do it all. The young choirs are led by our dynamic duo, Christy Jones, who's been at Young for 21 years, and Keith Daniel for 13 years at Young Junior High. The choirs at Young consistently place large numbers of students in the city and the regional choirs too, as well as receiving superior ratings all over the place. You name it, they go there, they get a superior rating. The UIL competitions, they were just honored recently at the state Texas Music Educators Association Convention. It rolls right off the tongue. But what they managed to do there was impress 25,000 people at this conference. They were the talk of the town. They got 2 standing ovations. They made the audience cry, then they made them laugh, and then they made them cry again. I'm not sure about the crying part, but we are so, so pleased and so honored that we have the Young Junior High Choir with us tonight to impress us with a song called Ton Salon. It's Estonian folk song. And then they're also going to perform How Sweet It Is, which was written by Mrs. Jones for the Texas Music Educators Association performance. Take it away, Young Junior High Choir.
Lost, I got many money, Tula, kill me to the Allah, 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 lost, I got many money, Tula, kill me to the Allah, 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 oh. I tell you, all good, you snug up on a mother, all good, you snug up on a sweet, all good, you snug up on a mother, all good, ho, I tell you, Pili, I tell you you're the Pili, Pili, curve me line, you're the Pili, Pili, I tell you you're the Pili, Pili, oh. I tell you, utiletu, tra-la-la. How sweet the sound, how sweet the sound, amazing grace, how sweet the sound. I once was lost, but now I'm found. How sweet the sound, how sweet the sound. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. How sweet the sound, how sweet the sound, amazing grace, how sweet the sound. I once was lost, but now I'm found. How sweet the sound, how sweet the sound. Through many dangers, toils and snares, I have already come. 'Twas grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. Surely grace will lead me home. How sweet the sound, how sweet the sound, amazing grace, how sweet the sound. I once was lost, but now I'm found. How sweet the sound, how sweet the sound. Amazing grace, how sweet the amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
That was great. How sweet the sound. Love that. Okay, our next presentation is our February 2022 Student of the Month from Martin High School, Grace Reddick. Principal Marlene Roddy.
President Mays, Superintendent Cavazos, Board of Trustees, Martin High School selects Grace Reddick for the district's February Student of the Month for special recognition. Grace is involved in multiple activities at Martin High School, including being the captain of the Lady Warrior soccer team, serving as photographer and drone specialist for the varsity football team, and acting as secretary for the National Honor Society. Grace is an exceptional young woman who approaches life with a smile. She says her favorite subject in school is English. She's an avid reader. She especially thinks fondly of her English class, her advanced English class, her sophomore year with her teacher, Miss Kristen Lynn. Grace's hobbies include the outdoors, especially playing sports, enjoying nature with her family. She also likes baking, reading, and soccer. Mrs. Harrington, her soccer coach, says, Grace is dependable, caring, and kind. Grace earned the captain leadership position on the soccer team because of her hard work and commitment to her teammates. She's a student athlete that all coaches would want to have on their team. Grace has attended Martin's strength and conditioning camp every summer. Through this connection, Grace was asked to be drone specialist for recording the varsity football practice, which helps the football program analyze their data and give feedback to their players. As Secretary of the National Honor Society, Grace oversees and organizes many events which serve our community and helps address the service tenet of this organization. Grace will attend Texas State University in San Marcos on a soccer scholarship this next fall. She hopes to major in sports communication. She says her two favorite things, sports and talking with people, have influenced her decision to become a sports broadcaster when she graduates. Grace also works in our counseling office as a counseling aide. Her friendly demeanor, counselors are here to support Grace. Her friendly demeanor and cheerful countenance are positive supports for those coming into our counseling office. Grace Reddick exemplifies the dedication and determination to serve and excel as a student. She is actively involved in multiple organizations at Martin. She will graduate as a lifelong learner with a commitment to her community, and she will continue to excel at the post-secondary level. Martin High School is pleased to present and honor Grace Reddick.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ms. Roddy. Thank you for that amazing little segment. I would like to first introduce my parents, Rhonda and Russell Reddick. They are really the main reason why I'm here. Just always have been there for me, supporting me, just academic-wise, athletic-wise. So just want to thank them. Also, shout out to my counselors who are just amazing in every way. Just thank you for being here, and just want to be thank you to my school, and then of course Ms. Roddy for just honoring me with this such an amazing award. So thank you, and thank you for having me.
Congratulations, Grace. It's got to be very exciting to see all of the support that here is supporting you and just confirming the amazing work that you're doing. Up there speaking behind that microphone, I think you're well on your way for broadcasting. Dr. Cavazos and I are going to come down and take pictures if that's okay. All right. Okay, can everybody hear me? Don't have that broadcaster voice. This is a pin given on behalf of the school board. Congratulations to you. This represents those that provide service to their community and those that are excelling as you are in the district. So congratulations again.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Cavazos.
Thank you, and Grace, congratulations. Thank you for representing all the students exceptionally well. You're a model student, and we're very proud of you. This is for you as well, and I wish you all the success in your future, and thank you for your dedication to your studies and athletics.
Thank you so much.
Okay, that is always fun. Now, next is another fun thing. Our presentation is our Community Engagement for Excellence Award of Appreciation. Mr. Perales is coming to the microphone.
Well, good evening, President Mays, Dr. Cavazos, members of the board. It's always an honor and a privilege to say thank you to our parents. Thank you to parents that are here this evening. To our volunteers, which So happens that Mr. Reddick was recently at a Booster Club President's luncheon that we were able to host for our parent leaders and volunteer leaders. It is also always a privilege to say thank you to the community that supports our students and staff. And today is another honor to highlight and recognize a new partner for the school district. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. The Whitfield family, led by Patricia and Patrick Whitfield, have brought Ella B's restaurant to Arlington with their delicious cuisine, and I can say delicious because I've tried it. They bring a strong sense of community and have made a commitment to giving back to our Arlington homeless population and the students within AISD. And merging these two outreach initiatives, Ella B's restaurant led and hosted the Ella B's Generous Hands event on December 15, 2021. Now for this event, Ella B's collaborated with Arlington ISD and some of Arlington's finest teams, organizations, and celebrities to provide an evening of great food, resources, and gifts to over 250 AISD families in transition students and family members. Students also received toys, clothing, dry goods, and shoes as a part of the event. With this magnificent event, working along with Arlington ISD, the Whitfields proudly partnered with the following organizations, and we wanted to highlight them as well this evening. The City of Arlington, UTA Trio Pre-College Programs, Tarrant County College, the Texas Rangers Foundation, Dallas Cowboys Alumni, Arlington Black Chamber of Commerce, Prosperity Bank, Dickies Apparels, Arlington Life Shelter, Food for the Soul, United Way of Tarrant County, Metro Sports Fieldhouse, Black Women's Wall Street, Inc., and Higgins and Thornton Consulting Services. And so as you can imagine, they were able to collaborate and invite 50-plus volunteers to help be a part of the event. And the reason I can say that the cuisine was delicious is that because after the event, Mr. Whitfield started coming out to where the volunteers were helping to clean up with trays of food. And they treated the volunteers as well to dinner that evening, which was a wonderful surprise for the volunteers that worked that event as well. As fantastic as Ella B's Generous Hands outreach was, this was not a one-off event for them. This was the second holiday season event that the Whitfields provided. This was the second season event that the Whitfields provided. Previously to the Generous Hands event, they'd provided an event for the Arlington Life Shelter. So moving forward, the Whitfields are committed to creating a lasting and sustainable program for our Arlington community. We thank the Whitfields and Ella B's restaurant for their support of our learning community. And so with this evening, to accept the award is Ms. Patricia Whitfield, owner of Ella B's.
Thank you so much. We are honored to be here. Come on, hubby. We're honored to be here, but we're even more so honored to be able to provide the services that we provide to those that are less fortunate, helping them and assisting them to a place of stability. So we're excited about what we're going to do, what we've done in the past, and we're even more excited about this year because it's going to be bigger. We are thankful for Ms. Higgins, for our project manager, for helping us collaborate with all of those resources that we did. We actually put all of those events together last year in less than a month. So I'm extremely excited about what we can do this year. So thank you all. We appreciate it.
Thank y'all very much, the Whitfields. Having been able to participate in several of your events, the food is delicious, but even more so than that, I think what I really appreciate is that you've come to a community where you've been blessed to be a part of it, and then you're reaching back and you're giving back. So what a great example to our community, to our youth that are watching you. And best way to everybody's heart is through their stomach, so y'all have captured many, many, many hearts. And we thank you and we appreciate that. We're gonna come down and take a picture. I'll use my loud voice. So we have this plaque that we are awarding for the Community Engaged for Excellence Award of Appreciation that's presented to Patrick and Patricia Whitfield of Ellaby's Restaurant for your volunteer service to the AISD, granted on February 3rd, 2022. Congratulations. Okay, our next presentation on the agenda is our presentation for our National Merit Semifinalists, our National Hispanic Scholars, our National African American Scholars, and our Rural and Small Town Recognition Scholars. Mrs. Anita Foster.
Yes, ma'am. President Mays, Dr. Cavazos, members of the board, I'd like to take a moment before we introduce tonight our National Merit Semifinalists, our National African American Scholars, our National Hispanic Scholars, and for the first time, our Rural and Small Town recipients, to just tell you a little bit about what all of that means, because it's outstanding. So first off, you can see by looking at the room, we have a huge number of students being recognized tonight. There's a total of 61 Arlington ISD students who received 66 different awards. That's more than 3 times the number of students that we had last year. So our students are just doing great. Also, all 7 of our high schools are represented with these awards tonight, which is exciting. The National Merit Scholarship Program is an academic competition for recognition and scholarships available for students who take the PSAT and they meet the published requirements. There are 1.5 million people who enter every year. There's about 50,000 of that 1.5 million that qualify to even receive recognition. And this year, Arlington ISD is home to 5 of those outstanding students. Absolutely, absolutely. The National African American Recognition Program identifies outstanding African American high school students and shares information about these academically well-prepared students with subscribing colleges and universities. This year, Arlington ISD is home to 21 African American scholars. That's outstanding. And then the National Hispanic Recognition Program does the same. It identifies the outstanding Hispanic scholars and shares their information with those colleges and universities too. Each year, there's nearly 5,000 outstanding Hispanic scholars that are honored, and this year, Arlington ISD is home to 36. Great. We also have 4 students tonight being honored for the Rural and Small Town recognition from Arlington High, and that's a first for our district. And to top it all off, those 4 students are also receiving other honors from the College Board. So a few other notables about these very impressive awards that I've described tonight. 37 of our recipients that are receiving these honors started in the Arlington ISD in pre-K, kindergarten, or first grade. The College Board also honors juniors, and we have 25 juniors being honored this year, which is really great. The top 3 front runners as far as college choices for our students are the University of Texas. Okay, y'all know there's gonna be competition up here. UTA. Go Mavs? Am I the only one? Okay, yes. And y'all get ready. Texas A&M. We knew that was coming. As far as career choices, the top 2 frontrunners among our honorees are computer science and biology. So our kids are really taking some challenging pathways to do great things in the world. So this evening, the students will be the first inductees into the 2021-22 Wall of Fame, where we feature our students who do the most outstanding work all year long. At this time, I'd like to introduce Principal Ray Borden from Seguin High School. Yes, Ray. The applause follows Ray wherever he goes. Principal Borden is going to introduce his students. He'll tell you a little bit about their plans, and then the students will share who's with them tonight so we can thank you, families, parents, other family members, friends, whatever the support network is. No one gets to these kinds of honors all alone. And so while we're going to recognize those students, we want to say thank you to all of you for the love and the support that you've provided behind each and every one. Ray, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. President Mays, Dr. Cavazos, members of the board, I would like to present to you our fantastic Cougars. First, we have Yaritza Martinez, who is our National Hispanic Recognition Scholar, and she is going to major in computer science at either the University of Texas at Arlington or the University of Texas at Austin. She has not yet decided, so I'm pushing her towards anywhere except for A&M. However, we also have Inaya Clements. That would be her mother. Who is going to be majoring in psychology and education, and she will be attending Texas A&M. I told her you might do that. And then lastly, with us today, we have Tiana Campbell, and she is our National African American Recognition Scholar as well as Miss Inaya. And she too will be choosing between University of Texas Arlington or UT Austin, looking at biology and pre-med. And we also have two others that are not here. Brian Wynn, he is our National Merit semifinalist, and Jonathan Brown, who is also recognized as a National African American Scholar.
Okay, so my name is Tiana Campbell, and tonight I am here with my dad, Throy Campbell, my mom, Trina Campbell, my sister, Tavanna Campbell, and my brother, Theo Campbell. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Inaya Clements. I'm here with my mom, LaKenya, my stepdad, Antoine, my dad, Jermaine, and my grandma, Mary. I just want to say thank you to my family. Like she said before, without my family community, I would not be here. I also want to say thank you to all my teachers who are watching. And yeah, thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Yaritza Martinez, and I'm joined today by my mom and my dad, Leticia and Romualdo. I just wanted to thank them for all the support that they've given me for these past years and being there for me the whole time. So, thank you.
And up next, Principal Stacy Humbles from Arlington High School.
Thank you. President Mays, Dr. Cavazos, members of the board, thank you for allowing us to be here and to celebrate these students. Before I introduce our Colts, I had just a moment with the kids and got to talk to them about their futures and their bios, and I've been in front of the board members for some years and introduced students, and it is just such an honor to be introducing these kids. And I told them just how amazing it is, and what you're going to be and what you're going to do for the world is just something super special. So I am just so honored to be able to be here with these kids today. So first up is Jennifer Rivera. She is, come on up, girl. She's receiving the Hispanic Scholar Honor and Rural and Small Town Recognition. She plans to study science at UTA or TCC and wants to be a surgeon or a doctor. Jonathan Torres. Jonathan is also a Hispanic scholar and also receiving the rural and small town recognition. Jonathan wants to go to Texas A&M and to study biomedical science and become a cardiologist. And Christopher Valdez. Christopher is a Hispanic scholar and a rural and small town recipient also. He wants to go to Pittsburgh, study applied math and actuarial science, and become an actuary. And we have one student not here today, Lance Bureau. He is our African-American scholar and also received the rural and small town recognition, and will go to UTA or Texas A&M. Congratulations, you guys.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Rivera, and I'm here with my parents, Jose and Cynthia Rivera, and I want to say thank you for always motivating me and being a big support in my life. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Torres, and I'm here with my parents, Alex and Monica, and I just want to thank them for all their support and just always holding me accountable in school, so thank you.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm here with my parents over there, mom and dad. I'm also there with my sister. And I'd like to thank them for letting me be here because I can't drive, so they're the reason. I appreciate everything they've done for me.
Principal Jeffrey Krieger, Arlington Collegiate High School.
President Mays, Dr. Cavazos, members of the board. Man, I'm so proud tonight. We're a very small high school, just a little over 400 students, but yet today we're going to introduce 14 scholars, National Hispanic Scholars. So it's very exciting for us to recognize these kiddos. So all of our kiddos are all National Hispanic Scholars. So first up is Brenda Cervantes. She is one of our seniors. She's looking to go to Texas A&M University or UNT at St. Edwards. She wants to major in psychology. She wants to be a psychiatrist with her main target of women of color, because oftentimes misdiagnosis happens in women of color than any other group. And her goal is to be a safe haven and a psychiatrist that others recommend. Not here is Kimberly Cuellar, looking to go to Texas Women's University, University of Houston, Texas Tech University, or Houston Baptist. Wants to major in health sciences and be a physician assistant. Also not here is Luis Flores, looking to go to UNT, Texas Wesleyan, or Texas Women's University. Wants to major in accounting and be an accountant. Someone who is here, Hugo Garcia. Another senior, looking to go to UTA or Texas Tech. Wants to major in psychology and to improve communication skills and eventually become enough to be a leader. All right, next up is Ariana Gonzalez, another one of our seniors, looking to go to UTA, Texas Wesleyan University, UNL, or UNT, or Dallas Baptist. Wants to major in business management and to own her own business. Next up is one of our juniors, Jerry Herrera. He wants to be a pre-med studies or biochemistry and major in one of those fields. Next up is Eric Lycia Tapia, another one of our seniors. He looks to go to Texas Christian University or SMU, major in biology and be a pediatrician. Maria Ortega, another one of our juniors, wants to major in psychology, and her goal is to complete her education, hopefully get a master's degree, so study psychology and become a therapist. Next up is Saul Ortiz, looking to go to University of Texas at Arlington, major in theater arts, and be a professor and a voice actor. Another senior, Amelia Quinones, looking to go to UTA or UT Austin, major in computer science, and looking for a top-level place at a tech company. Another one, Brianda Rocha Hernandez, looking to go to University of Houston, UNT or UTA, major in graphic designs, to be a creative director or UX designer. Next up is another one of our juniors, is Isabella Rodriguez, looking to go to the University of Texas at Arlington or Texas A&M or Texas Tech University, wants to major in veterinary science and go become a veterinarian and work on equine veterinarian. And then our final two here is Paola Santos Perez, another one of our seniors. She looks to go to UTA, major in physics, and looking for a career path in theoretical physics or applied physics. And then our last one is Robert Valla, and it wants to go to UT Austin, UNT, Texas Tech, major in computer science, and also graduate with a degree in computer science. That is our 14.
Hello, my name is Tio Garcia, and I'm here with my mom, Astrid Medellin. And I just want to thank her for always being there for me and supporting me throughout my college journey. And thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brenda. I'm here with a pretty big family. My dad, Cudberto, my mom, Sarah, my two younger brothers, Eddie and Rafi, and then my older brother, Oscar. And I want to thank my family in Mexico. Mil gracias para mi familia en Mexico, because they're watching me right now through the live stream. And I just want to thank my entire family for the support that they've given me.
Hi, my name is Ariana Gonzalez. I'm here with my dad, Silveria Gonzalez, and my mom, Nelida Gonzalez. And I want to thank them for supporting me through my early college, high school experience.
Hello, my name is Jerry, and I'm here today with my brother and brother-in-law by the wall over there. And I'd just like to thank them for, constantly pushing me to be the best I can, and telling me about this opportunity at ACHS since I was little, but I finally made it.
Hello, my name is Eric Licea Tapia, and I'm here with my mother, Maria Lorena, and I would just want to thank you for always, yes, that's her right there. I want to thank her for always supporting me, being my main support group. I can always go to her, whatever I need, and I'm really appreciative of her. Thank you. I love you too.
Hi, my name is Maria, and tonight I am here with my lovely mom, Adriana Solis. And although they're not here, I still want to give a big thank you to my dad and my sister, especially my older sister, because she's the one that got me into ACHS, which is a great opportunity. And I'm just overall so thankful for my whole family. Muchas gracias, ma, y mi familia.
Hello, I'm Saul Ortiz. I'm here with my parents, Rosa and Apolinar. I'd like to thank my brother and sister, Jesus and Maria, for all their support they've given me.
Hi, my name is Isabella Rodriguez, and I'm here with my mom. And my dad isn't here, but both of them have been great support throughout this entire ACHS journey, and I just appreciate that they've always given me advice and they've been there for me. So thank you.
Principal Rennie Lozardo for Bowie High School to introduce the volunteers.
President Mays, Dr. Cavazos, members of the board, thank you so much for this opportunity. I want to introduce a very special student. Her name is Isadora Paul, and she is going to receive the National African American Recognition Scholarship. She is just a junior, so I believe she'll be here next year as well with another recognition. She had a list of schools she wanted to go to, but she said, Mr. Lozardo just mentioned Baylor. That's where I want to go. So Baylor it is. Now, something very special about her that I've not heard a lot tonight is she wants to go into education. She tells me she wants to be an elementary teacher. I tell her I have a year left to convince her to be a high school teacher. I also pushed her to go all the way up through the principalship, and she's like, nope, Lozardo, I want to keep going and be a board member, is what she told me. So with that being said, Isadora Paul.
All right. Thank you. First, I'll start online. Hi, Dad, wherever you are. Also, my IB counselor, Ms. Hayes. Thank you for watching. You've been very instrumental in my leadership development and emotional development. That's been very helpful this year. Here, my family. I have both my grandparents out. Thank you for always supporting me. You know, I know it can be I can be kind of hard sometimes, but I always appreciate y'all. Thank you, Nancy, being one of my closest friends. You know, coming out tonight really means a lot. And last but not least, I really like to thank my mom. You know, growing up in a single-parent household, I know it can be hard on you, but I'll make you proud, and I'm so thankful for everything you've done for me. You know, taking me all around Arlington to volunteer and whatnot. It's been very helpful, and I'm very thankful for you.
Principal Andy Hagman, Lamar High School.
President Mays, Dr. Cavazos, members of the board, thank you for honoring these guys tonight and for allowing us just to share in the love with them and their families and their principals. It's been cool. I have 10 people to honor tonight, and we have 4 that are with us. First, let's start with Miss Ellie Rather. Ellie is a National African American Scholar. Ellie is contemplating Rice, Harvard, or the University of Arizona, and she wants to study cognitive sciences and possibly be a cognitive scientist or a psychologist. Next is Jaquarius, or Jay Brown. Jay is a National African American Scholar. Jay, okay, we got a list of schools. Good night, Jay. All right. Top 4? Okay. University of Louisiana Monroe, Abilene Christian, Louisiana Tech, and Wichita State. Those are the top 4. Jay is looking at business administration with minors in political science and law, and potentially being a head football coach and CEO of his own law firm. Wow, okay. Ashton Williams. Ashton is an National African American Scholar. Ashton is considering UTA, UT, UTD, Rice, and Sam Houston. Ashton is looking at a field of somewhere in STEM, possibly mechanical engineering, and he is wanting his career goals, expanding my knowledge to the highest degree in order to apply myself to everyday problems and always finding a solution. If a solution cannot be found, then I'll make one. Ms. Jordan Green, National African American Scholar. Jordan is considering University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, Prairie View A&M, Texas Southern, or Wichita State. She wants to study accounting. She aspires to be a successful accountant one day and receive business opportunities at my future college that will guide me towards my goal. I would like to have my own accounting business one day. Following students are not here tonight, but let's honor them. First, Tonancine Aguilar. She is a National Hispanic Scholar. Sabri Clark is both a National Hispanic Scholar and a National African American Scholar. Eden George is National African American Scholar. Abdelrahman Abdallah is a National African American Scholar. And Jesus Ledesma, National Hispanic Scholar. And Ms. Crystal Ibe, a National African American Scholar. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jordan Green. I am here with my mom and my younger brother. I just want to thank them for just being there for me.
Hello, my name is Ashton Williams, and I am here with my mother, and I'd like to thank her for all the sacrifices she has made for me in my entire life.
Hello, I'm Jaquarius. I'm here with my mother, Demetrius. I'd like to thank you. You are truly exceptional, and your love is undying, and everything I do is for you, so thank you.
Hi, my name is Ellie Rather. I'm here with my mom and my dad, and I just want to say I love y'all and thank y'all for everything.
Principal Marlene Roddy, Martin High School.
President Mays, Dr. Cavazos, and Board of Trustees. Martin High School has 18 students tonight that we intend to recognize, and 14 of those students are present. I'd also like to make note that my counselors are here tonight. I think you've already noticed. And I also want to allow my STEM coordinators and my associate principal to do a little wave out because they're here to support our students as well. So this is exciting. I'm going to start with Nicholas Abram. He's a National African American Scholar. He has plans to attend UT Austin, Georgia Tech, or MIT. He's interested in computer science and a career in something in computer science. Next is Taj Adams. He's a National African American Scholar. Sorry, Taj. Okay, she has many colleges on her list: Xavier University of Louisiana, Howard University, Prairie View A&M, University of Florida A&M University. And she intends to be a pediatric nurse and go into nursing. Brianna Aguilar is not here this evening, but she is a National Hispanic Scholar. She intends to attend UT Austin and go into engineering. I have Mariela Barrios. She's a National Hispanic Scholar. She plans to go to Texas A&M or Columbia or Drexel. She is interested in chemistry and psychology and intends to work with children, possibly as a child psychologist. Next is Alessandra Bastidas, National Hispanic Scholar, intends to attend Baylor, TCU, Columbia University, Arizona State, well, there's quite a few, University of Colorado. Her interest is in psychology or pharmacology, and she would like to be a pharmacist or social worker. Next is Nicole Garderas. She is a National Hispanic Scholar. She's considering Rice University or Johns Hopkins or MIT. She is interested in chemical engineering, and she'd like to get her master's degree in chemical engineering and eventually become a chemical engineer. Next is Trinidad Little, National African American Scholar, is interested in pharmacology and finance, says that would like to work in pharmacology and or finance or both. Next is Hunter Meadows, who is not here this evening, but is a National Hispanic Scholar, has not decided on a university yet, but plans to go into graphic design or advertising. Next is Jory Milliner, National Hispanic Scholar, intends to attend UNT, MIT, Prairie View, A&M, Howard, Columbia, Cornell, or UT. So a few to think about. Computer science or business graphic design is her interest, and she intends to eventually create her own digital media studio and focus on video gaming. Next is Eric Montemeyer. Eric is a National Hispanic Scholar, plans to attend UT Austin, is interested in mathematics, and has not yet decided on a career in that area. Michelle Wynn is not here this evening, but she is a National Merit semifinalist. She plans to attend UT Austin. Her interest is computer science. She hopes to be a software engineer. Next is Trinity Orozco, is a National African American Scholar and a Hispanic Scholar. She intends to either attend Texas A&M, Corpus, University of California, San Diego, Boston University, Cornell University, or University of Oregon. Her interests are marine biology, veterinary medicine and hopes to become an aquatic veterinarian and work at a rehabilitation and release center. Next is Frieda Reyes, who's not here this evening, National Hispanic Scholar, thinking about UTA and A&M, and hopes to attend one of those schools and go to dental school eventually. Next is Seraine Sagal, is a National Merit semifinalist. Seraine intends to attend UT Austin or NYU or USC, is interested in computer science, and hopes to go into AI research or become a software developer. Jonathan Shelby is a National African American Scholar, has not yet decided on college, is an engineering interest, and wants to become an aerospace engineer. Next is Cameron Stringer, National Merit semifinalist, plans to attend UT Austin, is interested in physics, and hopes to be a lead researcher in a physics lab. Next is Heather Van Wasbergen, She's a National Merit semifinalist. She has multiple interests in colleges, Stanford, Duke, UC Davis, UT Austin, plans to be a major in biology or animal science, is interested in becoming a wildlife veterinarian or a wildlife conservationist. And lastly, Emma Winters is a National Hispanic Scholar, plans to attend UT Austin or Miami, University of Miami, is interested in marine biology or pediatrics. She says, I'm not sure, 100% sure of what she'd like to do with her career, but something in marine biology or possibly pediatrics. And this is Martin High School Scholars.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Abram. I'm with my two wonderful parents, Ron and Felicia Abram. I just want to say thank you for always putting up with me and just loving me. I appreciate you and I love you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Taj Adams, and I'm here with my parents, Chandra and Walter Adams, and I just want to say thank you for the endless love, encouragement, and support, and I love you guys so much.
My name is Mariela, and I'm here with my phenomenal father, and I would like to thank you and Mommy for supporting me every single day of the way.
I'm Alessandra Bastidas, and I'm here with my dad, Claudio, my brother, Esteban, my other brother, Fabian, and my other little sister, Anali, and my mom on FaceTime because she's in Monterrey. But I love them so much, and I appreciate them for always being there for me and for always just dealing with me. And that I love you guys so much.
Hi, my name is Nicole Garderis. I'm here with my two parents, Margarita and Dolores. And thank you guys for never letting me give up. I love y'all.
Hi, my name is Trinidad Little. I'm here with my mother tonight. I'd like to say thank you for being here tonight for me and just supporting me all this time. I love you and thank you for being my rock.
Hi, I'm Jory Milner. I'm here with my wonderful mom tonight. I just want to say thank you for all your support. And I know there were times you wanted to beat me and get me to work, but thank you for putting up with me and helping me get through. I love you. Thanks, Mom.
Hi, I'm Eric Montemayor, and I'm here with my mom and dad, Margarita and Jorge Montemayor. And I just want to say, thank you for everything you do for me. You guys are awesome.
Hi, I'm here with my mom, Paula Drummond, and I'd just like to thank her for her support and endless love. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Seraine Sagal. I'm here with my younger brother, Indy, who just performed with the Young Choir, and my mom, Wendy, and Dada Project. I love all of you guys a lot, and I appreciate your constant support.
My name is Jonathan Shelby. I'm here with my mom and dad, Melanie and Cedric Shelby, and my sister, Morgan.
And I want to say thank you for supporting me and pushing me to be my best, and I couldn't be here without you guys.
My name is Heather Van Wasbergen, and I'm here with my mom and dad, Lori and Robert Van Wasbergen, and I just want to say thank you for your unconditional love and support in everything I do.
Hi, my name is Emma Winters. I'm here with my mom, dad, sister, and grandma. I just want to say thank y'all so much, and of course the family who couldn't make it tonight. Y'all like supported me through everything. I couldn't do it without y'all.
We have one more school to go, but before I introduce that principal, I want to let you parents know, and students too, there will be a 2-page spread in Arlington Today magazine in March that will feature all of these students and their great accomplishments. So we'll finish up with Principal Juan Villarreal with Sam Houston High School.
President Mapes, Dr. Cavazos, and board members, I want to thank you for this opportunity that you allowed me to recognize our Sam Houston High School scholars. I have a total of 9 students, and that's phenomenal for Sam Houston High School. I'm very proud of these guys. Anyway, I will start with the first one. The first one is Monica Rojas, Hispanic National Scholar. She plans to attend either Texas Christian University, SMU, or Texas State University. Her major, she plans to major in criminal justice and become an immigration lawyer. Next, I have Brian Molina, National Hispanic Scholar. He's not here with us, but he plans to attend UT Arlington, UT Austin, or TCU. He plans to major in engineering and become a mechanical engineer. He's not here with us today. Next one, we have Jasmine Padilla, National Hispanic Scholar. She is the only junior we have, and she is undecided, so she has a year to decide where she's going to attend. But she hopes to become a veterinarian in the future. The next one is a very unique name, and I love it, and I practiced today, and I hope I don't butcher it. Oyenda Mula Ogun Hikabe. Did I do a good job on that? She is a National African American Scholar. She plans to attend Texas Christian University or University of Texas in Austin. Major in nursing, and become a general surgeon. The next one is Petra Okeptu, National African American, plans to attend Texas Christian University, University of Arlington, or Texas Tech. Major in mechanical engineering, and she hopes to become an engineer. Next one is Jessica Lujan. She's a National Hispanic Scholar, plans to attend either TCU, UTA, or UNT. Major in business, and she's still undecided, so you need to hurry up. All right. Next is Monica Rios, National Hispanic Scholar. She plans to attend either Rice University, Washington University, or UT Austin. She wants to become a biomedical engineer. She wants to explore both worlds of the medical and engineering field to interact with different medical devices to ensure their safety and effectiveness. Next, we have Marisol Sanchez, National Hispanic Scholar. She plans to attend University of Houston, Texas Women's University, UT Arlington, UT Austin, or UT San Antonio. Those are a lot of universities. You need to make up your mind as well. She plans to major in nursing, and she hopes to better the lives of young kids and have a positive impact in their lives. The last one is Renee On Tiwi, National African American. I think I butchered that. Renee Antwi, perfect, better? Okay. All right. She's a National African American Scholar, plans to attend Texas Christian University or UT Austin. She wants to major in cognitive science, political science. She wants to become clinical psychologist and work in policy making. She would like to create an outreach program to promote mental health. That is wonderful. These are the 9 scholars for St. Houston High School.
Hi, I'm Monica Rojas. Today I'm here with my mom, Marisela Cano, and my sister, Melissa Flores. I would just like to thank my friends, my family, my teachers, and my drill team directors for always supporting me and pushing me to strive for success. I do it for you guys. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dan Padilla. I'm here tonight with my mom, Marcelina, and my sister, Carla. I really want to thank my family and my friends for always encouraging me to be like the best version of myself. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Oyindamala Goimbe, and I'm here with my dad. My mom couldn't be here today because she has work, and it's fine. And I want to thank both of them for everything they've done for me, and I wouldn't be here without them today. And they've sacrificed a lot for me, and they've never given up on me, even though I can be a serious headache sometimes. And I'm also like to thank my dad for being here because he had to work around a really tight schedule just to be here. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Petro Pektu. I'm here with my mom. I love you. Her name is Julie. My dad couldn't be here because he has work. And I want to thank you guys for always pushing me to be better. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Jessica Lujan, and I'm here with my parents, Nestor and Teresa Lujan. I would like to thank them for always putting up with me and pushing me to be the better version of myself and always motivating me. I'd like to thank my friends, my family, my drill team, and band directors for building the person I am today. Like, they've helped me so much. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Monica Rios. I am here with both of my parents, Federico and Ermila Rios. I am also here with my 2 wonderful sisters who have been amazing role models for me. So I would just like to thank them for all of their support. I appreciate everything y'all have done, and I hope to make you proud.
Hi, my name is Marisol Sanchez. I'm here with my lovely parents, Maria and Moises. I want to thank them for everything they've done for me, and I also want to thank my AISD teacher, Mr. Talamantes, because without him, I would probably not be here right now. And also, sorry, Ms. Perez. Thank you for everything y'all have done for me. I appreciate y'all very much.
Hi, my name's Renee. I'm here with my mom, Eunice Brown. Oh, there you are. I was looking for you. Thank you for dealing with me all the time. I know you're tired. You just came straight from work. But thank you so much. You've done so much in my life for me. And I know sometimes you think that I don't show it, but I really do appreciate you. I'd also like to thank my teachers. Teachers at SAM, I know they're really something. I'd also like to thank Mr. B and Mrs. Carter. You've done so much for us. Like, I'm so glad you're my counselor. So thank you so much, Ms. Carter.
Congratulations. And man, does our future look bright. Yes. Congratulations to each and every one of you that were recognized this evening. We know that is no simple feat to take everything that's been poured into you and then take that same thing and pour it out and see success. You're just on the cusp of the beginning of the rest of your lives, and how exciting it is for each and every one of y'all. And if we could just take a half a second to students and everyone who's not a parent, please clap, and parents, please receive this. So once again, congratulations for all of the hard work, and good luck in the future. And so exciting because we're going to get to see a lot of y'all walk across the stage soon. Okay, the next thing on our agenda are appointments. Dr. Cavazos.
Thank you, President Mason. This evening, I'd like to recommend the board ratify the appointment of the individual discussed in closed session for assistant principal for Lamar High School.
Move for approval.
I'll second. Okay, got a motion by Mr. Hogg, a second by Mrs. Fowler. Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Everybody present, vote in the affirmative. Motion passes. Next on the agenda is a public hearing. We do not have one this evening. And Dr. Cavazos, I will now hand you the mic.
Thank you, President Mason. We'll introduce our new assistant principal for Lamar High School, who's already started, Stacy Williams. And Stacy Williams, one more time, attended Texas A&M University. I just had to do it one more time. And A&M University, Texarkana for Master of Science in History. Most recently, a U.S. History teacher at Lamar High School, and you see the rest of her experience there. Congratulations to Stacy.
Very good. Congratulations. Okay, next on our agenda is our open forum for agenda items. As stated on the posted agenda, members of the public who desire to address the board regarding an item on this agenda are required to register at www.aisd.net/board meeting speakers request, no later than 3 p.m. the day of the board meeting. Mrs. Benjamin, do we have any requesters registered to address the board regarding agenda items? Okay.
Ma'am, we have one for non-agenda later. We have one for agenda item right now, Ms. Cindy Kalaluka. She's speaking virtually.
Okay. This is a routine part of the school board's agenda for regularly scheduled meetings. This segment of the meeting provides citizens with an opportunity to share their views with the trustees on items that are on the agenda tonight. It is not intended to be a discussion or a debate, and trustees will not reply to the speakers. Derogatory comments aimed at an individual will not be tolerated. Personnel matters are not appropriate subjects for open forum. You will have 2 minutes to speak, and Mrs. Benjamin will notify you when your time is up, and please end your presentation at that time. Welcome. Your time starts now. Can you hear me?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I think you know who I am and why I'm here. I just didn't want to miss any meetings. We had a program at school today, so I wasn't able to attend in person. I hope you all are doing well. I want to thank you for trustee talks. They were amazing, and it was nice to get to sit and chat with you all. I also want to thank you so much for continuing the pause through the end of the school year. That is exactly what we need, and that's what I've been asking for, and I appreciate you listening and doing that. Please continue to keep it simple for the teachers. Use all personnel that you have to support the students. And thanks again. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Next thing on our agenda is our action item. Dr. Cavazos.
Thank you. Thank you, President Mason. Action item A is to consider a resolution for an easement as presented in the board packet.
Mr. Hogg.
Thank you, President Mays. I would love to make a motion on an easement. We love making motions on easements. So with that, we do have to read some legal jargon with that for an easement. So if you would, please bear with me as I make my motion in the form of a written statement. With that, I move to propose. Can't even read. I was not a national merit scholar, so I move to approve the proposed and attached water main easement necessary to install a public water main within 0.3291 acres, 14,336 square feet being a portion of Lot 21, John Hewitt Addition, in addition to the City of Arlington, Tarrant County, Texas, according to the plot recorded in Volume 388-156, page 96, Plat Records, Tarrant County, Texas, and also described in the deed to Arlington Independent School District, recorded in Volume 3104, page 411, Volume 2730, page 304, Volume 2649, page 342, and Volume 2717, page 335, Official Public Records, Tarrant County, Texas. That's my simple, easy motion there, President Mays.
Okay, so I've got a motion by Mr. Hogg. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second by Mrs. Fowler. Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote. All present vote in the affirmative. The motion passes. Next thing on our agenda is our discussion action item. Dr. Cavazos.
Thank you, President Mays. And this evening we bring an update for COVID and how we're progressing with that. And this evening, Dr. Tracy Brown will present our update. Dr. Brown.
Thank you, President Mays, members of the board. Of course, Dr. Cavazos, thank you for the opportunity to provide a pretty brief update on our COVID information for the board this evening. So, as it relates to vaccine mitigation efforts, we still have our vaccine clinic, or the Arlington Fire Department has the clinic over on South Cooper. That's still Monday through Friday. No appointments are even necessary for that. On February 10th, we had Tarrant County Public Health had a vaccine clinic over at Anderson Elementary. We had a little over 50 vaccines administered on that day, and then we had actually one today at Sam Houston High School from 9 to 4. So we don't have those numbers quite yet, but hopefully we were able to help support the vaccine efforts at Sam today. As it relates to our testing, we continue to have our testing clinic over at the old admin building on Pioneer Parkway, and you can see the hours there. We have started to see that the testing requests or needs are diminishing, which is really a good sign. So much so that we have the demand for testing has decreased so much so that Tarrant County Testing Center at our athletics complex has now been discontinued as of last week. We're still asking and encouraging those who are symptomatic to get tested, to stay home, get tested, just to make sure we're doing our very best to mitigate the spread of COVID in our schools. As you can see, our testing data just tells us again that our numbers, the tests that are being asked for are continually diminishing and decreasing. You can see the beginning of January, in January 15th, we had almost 2,000 tests administered, and now as of February 11th, these are the numbers are a lot smaller. So we're very encouraged by that and just continue to monitor and provide those supports and resources for those who need testing. Would like to share a little bit of the statistics for cases and community spread. We are still at a level high or red for the county, but you can see that 7-day average percent positive continues to decrease as of February 12th, a little over 13% positive. Our virus spread also in the county has continued to decrease with just over 6,300 cases reported. The COVID-like illness number is also trending downwards at 3%, and hospitalizations are also down at 13%. So again, encouraging news on this front. We continue to monitor and make adjustments accordingly. As it relates to our COVID dashboard, this is a total through February 16th. We've had over 10,000 positive cases reported, 2,300 staff members, close to 8,000 students, and even some visitors. We still continue to update those cases by 5 p.m. each day on our COVID dashboard. And you can see the trends here on our dashboard. Again, you can see where we had the huge uptick the beginning and middle of January, and slowly you can see that decrease. And so again, very positive sign for us as we continue to monitor those trends. We also are just continuing to monitor staff attendance and make adjustments as we need to. You all know that we have our central office helping hands still going into the schools, helping provide substitute services and teaching in the classrooms. And that's been a huge help for our campuses, especially during that really critical time where we had 3 to 4 weeks of pretty high cases. And so that's pretty much it for our COVID update. I'm happy to take any questions that you all might have.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brown. Are there any questions from any trustees? Okay, I see no questions. Thank you again.
Okay, of course.
Okay, the next thing on our agenda is our consent agenda. These are items which consist of routine things grouped together for approval as one item. Unless removed from the consent agenda, these items will be acted on at one time with no discussion. Trustees, are there any requests for items to be withdrawn from the consent agenda for further discussion? Okay, I see none. Is there a motion to accept the agenda? Okay. Got a motion by Mrs. McMurray, a second by Mrs. Fowler. Any discussion? Seeing none, we will now vote. Okay, motion passes in the affirmative. Now we will move to our discussion item. Dr. Cavazos?
Thank you, President Mays. And this evening we bring, again, as a discussion item, our House Bill 3 and DIP progress monitoring update for the board. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Wirtz. Dr. Wirtz.
Good evening, President Mays, Dr. Cavazos, members of the board. I'm here tonight to give you an update on our goals for progress monitoring for House Bill 3 and District Improvement Plan. And tonight I'll be talking specifically about the results of our middle of year screener for grades, kinder through 7th grade. This is just a reminder of the goals that were established at the beginning or the onset of the school year related to both literacy and mathematics. And the goal, of course, is to make this improvement over the next 5 years in reading from 57 to 74% and from math from 45 to 73%. And these goals are related to our outcomes for STAR in grade 3. Well, 3 and the others, this is our total district goal, but 3 is the one related to House Bill 3. Here we have, the way the presentation has been divided up tonight is similar to the beginning of the year. I'll outline the results for literacy and some of the action items that are connected to literacy, and then I'll share with you some of the results for mathematics. In literacy, we provide a middle of year assessment to our students in K through 2 using MClass. MClass is the platform, the electronic platform where we administer and look DIBELS, which is the screener that's used through MClass. And then we have iStation, which this year is for grades 3 through 7. MClass measures 5 main areas: letter naming, phonemic awareness, letter sound correspondence, decoding, and word reading. And students are rated or scored on their achievement or their proficiency levels for each of those sub areas and ranked into 4 categories: well below mark, below benchmark, at benchmark, or above benchmark. And the areas that are assessed in DIBELS there are some that are assessed at specific grade levels, and there are some additional assessments that happen at different grade levels. So this chart that you see in front of you basically outlines what's assessed at which grade level in the DIBELS content, and then what additional subset tests are provided. What I'll do tonight is I'll go through kindergarten, and I will outline the slides for kindergarten, and then the 1st and 2nd grade and so on proceed in MClass very similarly in the way it's formatted, and then I'll do the same thing for the upper grades. So this is the MOI for overall results for kinder. In kinder, our goal is to go from 51 to 75. And on the left-hand side, you can see a pie chart that breaks down the total percentage of the kindergarten class of students that were assessed, which was 2,847 students, and how they broke down by proficiency level, meaning whether they were at or above benchmark or they're below or well below benchmark. On the grid on the side, the N represents the number of students tested that achieved that level, and the percentage, of course, is what that number represents in terms of percentage. So as you can see, we had several students that were assessed, and we had about 23% or that were at benchmark, 16 that were above the benchmark, and then we had many students still well below benchmark that we're working through. This gives you a breakdown of what that looks like by subtest, and the reason we wanted to share this with you so that you could get a sense about where the actual challenge areas are and where kids tend to be more successful. Letter naming and word reading are our higher 2 areas. Phonemic awareness and decoding are our 2 lower areas. This slide is intended to share with you what the change is between BOI and MOI. And one thing that's important to note about a beginning of year assessment versus a middle of year assessment is that the benchmark or the level at which you achieve to reach standard changes as the year progresses. And the best way I can describe that is if you are a 1st grade student, and let's just say, for example, you come to school and you're reading at a level 5, and the goal is to get to a level 16 by the end of your 1st grade year, you have a pacing at which you have to progress in order to reach the end of your target. So while this is showing you an up or down point of view, it really is comparing two targets, beginning of year and middle of year, and how it's progressed. And while that target may change, it's still proficiency to proficiency. So if you're proficient before and now you're not considered proficient, you'll see a drop. If you weren't proficient before and you're now proficient, you'll see an improvement. So on this grid side, where you see the grid, on the top two lines, you're wanting to see green. And on the bottom two lines, you're going to want to see them be positive numbers. So I'm going to give you a quick example. Negative numbers. So for example, if you look at slide letter sounds, for example, you're going to see that we had a decrease in letter sounds in terms of at or above benchmark, the number of students that were proficient. And that same level, that's if you look down below it, under below benchmark and well below benchmark, for below benchmark, you're going to see we had an increase. So more kids were below, and we had 1% decrease in the well below. So we have a few kids. You're going to notice the inverse of, I guess is what I'm trying to say, at the top or the bottom. If the bottom goes up in green, you should see that reflection, meaning that it's getting better from below, and vice versa. So if you'll look over on the chart on the right-hand side, you'll see in kindergarten, it's still our challenge, just as the overall was around phonemic awareness. We dropped, more students were struggling in phonemic awareness this time than last time, and of course the overall composite score went down. For first grade, this is what first grade looks like. It's very similar. The goal is to go from 52 to 73. And then you can see on the pie chart on the side the percentage of students that are at benchmark or below it. This will show you in grade 1 how students are landing in terms of proficiency levels. And then this will show you the change. So I'll highlight the area that is in red. For example, letter sounds. We had a decrease by 7% of the percentage of students that were at or above. And that same exact increase of 7% is the percentage of students that are now below or well below. So as I was mentioning earlier, the inverse was there. We did show some growth, or at least maintained the same level of proficiency in all but 2 areas in this one. And the overall composite score for first grade looks pretty much the same. So the percentage of kids that were overall proficient in the beginning of the year are the same students, or the same percentage of kids that are overall proficient now. This is second grade. The goal is to go from 55 to 75. And then this is how it looks in terms of the breakdown by the subtest, with the strongest area beating reading accuracy. Now in second grade, there was growth in almost every area with the exception of one, and that one, while it went down 1%, it's still pretty much the same as it was before. So you'll see across on the grid, most of the top areas are green, and the inverse on the bottom means shows that it's getting better. So when we actually analyze our primary grade instruction, most of our challenges continue to be around this concept of phonemic awareness. We do have Fountas and Pinnell phonics kits and a phonics curriculum that's part of our instruction in the classroom, and there's a required 30 minutes a day of where that curriculum is taught to students. We're also going to be working with teachers and campuses to help with the way they plan and implement their literacy block and how they focus and provide phoneme segmentation activities in the classroom to help students with their phonemic awareness, and we have that provided in our instructional focus documents that are out on Curriculum Central. We'll also continue to build this into our professional learning and provide some additional training on M-Class and how to leverage the intervention lessons that are available through Amplify during summer impact and continuous learning sessions. So when a student takes our reading assessment, there are lessons, intervention lessons that are in Amplify, which is basically a type of curriculum and lessons that are available for teachers to use with students to intervene based on whatever their data says. So we're going to spend some additional time making sure that that teachers continue to be well trained in how to leverage those interventions so they can work directly around the areas of need in literacy. And then, of course, provide professional learning on not only the foundational literacy skills and that 30-minute instructional block that I mentioned around phonics, but just continuing to reinforce the foundation reading standards and the basics around the science of reading that all primary grade teachers are going through over the last 30 years in the reading academies. Right now, we've had third and second grade teachers, and next year we became one. In upper grades, in 3 through 7, we do iStation, and these are the 4 general areas that we assess iStation, which I shared with you last time. And there are 5 levels of achievement. Students who land in the above the 80th percentile are at level 5, and it goes all the way to level 1, which is students that are at or below the 20th percentile rank. And just as a point of reference to people who may be watching, percentile rank is based on a comparison of the student to the cohort that's actually being assessed with them. So they're looking to see if you're at the 50th percentile, you're pretty much right at the middle where average where everyone else is. If you're above the 50%, you're actually doing better than the average. If you're below the 50 percentile, you're doing worse than the average. This is where we land as our overall reading in terms of what percentage of students at each grade level are landing in each level for each of the months that have been assessed so far this school year. You can see where we started in August, and then we worked our way through January. Level 5, of course, is the highest level, and then level 1 would be the level that's, like I mentioned, at the 20th percentile. So you can kind of get a sense of how we've been progressing over the course of the year. In 3rd grade, the structure of the document is very much you saw in primary grades. You have your pie chart on the left, which breaks down by levels. And just again, level 5 is the highest level, and meaning highest level of achievement. Level 1 is the lowest. And we had over 3,000 students test in 3rd grade. You can see where the breakdown is in terms of percentages of where students landed. Here is a grid that shows you what percentage of students were landing in each of the individual subtests for comprehension, vocabulary, spelling, and text fluency. And to make it a little more simple, because this one has both the N, the number of students, plus what percentage that they constituted, this shows you the change from beginning of year to middle of year. So the number at the bottom is the one that would represent the greatest level of proficiency, and so you're looking for those numbers, of course, to go green. In 3rd grade, we did have some improvement, and then the level of students that landed in level 4, you can see which ones went up and which ones went down. But we highlighted level 5 just so you can see, since that's the highest level. This is the similar information, just broke down in a grid, like not a grid, a bar graph. Fourth grade. And then we have the breakdown of each of the individual subtests for 4th grade for the students that were assessed in January. And this slide shares with you the change that occurred in terms of proficiency at each of the levels. Of course, if it's 0%, it stayed the same. It got worse, it's a negative. If it got any better, it's positive. And this is by subtest. So some growth. And then in 5th grade, looks like this. With 28% at level 1, 20% at level 2, and then of course 18 and 17% at both level 5 and 4. And here's the breakdown. And then this is where we went up or down. And of course, here you can see that some of the challenges are around text fluency. In 6th grade, we had about 3,250 students participate in the assessment. We had 17% of students score at level 5, 18% at level 4, and then 17 at level 3, and so on. This is the breakdown by subcategory. And similar to in 5th grade, you'll see that text fluency is an area of challenge for this intermediate grade as well. And then finally in 7th grade, which is the last grade that participates in iStation screeners, we had 2,100, approximately 2,182 take the assessment. 24% scored at level 4 or level 5, and then the remaining students at levels 3, 2, and 1. We didn't see any changes in text fluency in terms of 7th grade, but we did see a slight decrease in spelling. So I thought I would take a minute just to break down some of the focus areas for the intermediate grades. You can see these are the common ones that we talked about, text fluency being the primary one we discussed, and then the vocabulary, and then the overall composite, which basically gets down to this idea of understanding what you read and reading comprehension. ISIP actually assesses students at different grade levels, and there are different things that are assessed at those grade levels. So I just wanted to give you a quick sample about what that is. So in when fluency skills are being assessed in the iStation, they're really focusing on not only listening, speaking, reading, and writing, and thinking. Students are also given the opportunity to read grade level text, and then they want to do so with fluency. So basically, the way you get to be a more fluent reader is to read. And we want to test not only can you read and read it with fluency, but do you comprehend what you read once you do. If you look at the chart that's on the right-hand side, you'll see what shows up in 3rd grade, 4th grade, and then each of the subsequent 5th and 6th, and then 7th and 8th grade, if 8th grade was assessed. And so they're not always assessing the same thing. It really depends on how kids are progressing as they progress with their age, and certain skills are added to their repertoire. Those things are assessed for proficiency as they move through the curriculum. This is what it looks like for fluency skills. This is what we assess for vocabulary skills. So you can see in 3rd grade, the focus is around synonyms, antonyms, roots, and affixes and homographs. And then you move on to other things as you get older. You add those things, but then you keep those things, but then you add other things like Latin and Greek roots, words from other languages, and so on. And then this is an example from adaptive spelling. You can see from 3rd grade where you sit at very simple things like CVC words, or consonant vowel consonant words, or vowel consonant with a silent E, all the way down to when you move to the upper grades to derivatives, roots, adding affixes and things like that. So in grades 3 through 7, our focus area are the ones I described, which is really text fluency, vocabulary, and spelling. Spelling is really focused around analyzing words and really understanding how the words are created using phonics. So we will continue to offer our training that focuses on the 5 components that are connected to reading, and engage in literacy walks to make sure that students are receiving focused instruction around phonics in the classroom. And then we will continue to support teachers in their PLCs and professional learning as they build instruction that focuses around vocabulary development and text fluency practice. Mathematics, the story looks a little bit different. There's a lot more green going on in mathematics, which is really great for us because that was actually our one area that we struggled more. So here, just as a reminder, we use the math inventory, and this is a quantile framework. And basically what this is that students earn a quantile score as they acquire skills. So the more mathematical concepts that you master, the higher your quantile score is. And so there's a certain level that you reach algebra readiness, and so we're working to get kids at those quantile marks as they move through their grades. The picture that you see there on the right hand side kind of shows you visually what that looks like and where you kind of want kids to land. What I'll share with you tonight is where the individual targets are for each of the grade levels, and where we were at the beginning of the year and where we are now. So here it kind of shows you what skills have been gained over the course of the year. Where you see the little triangle, the little blue triangle, that is the proficiency standard. That's where we're trying to get to, or that's where we want them to be at the time of the assessment. If you are looking at the light purple area, that area was the original quantile, average quantile score in the grade level. And in the darker purple area, that's the current quantile score. So while we haven't quite reached proficiency, which we know we're not there, there is significant learning gaps and unfinished learning that we're still addressing. The positive thing about this is there's a trend upward, like they're getting better. Their quantile scores, which are cumulative in nature, are getting better in the middle of the year than they were in the first year. So learning is happening and it's sticking. This just gives you an overall look for all of the grade levels and how the proficiency rates have improved over the course of beginning of year to middle of year. So you can see it's across every grade level there has been improvement in the number of kids that have reached proficiency or advanced levels in mathematics based on the screener. So that's good news. It's the direction that we want to see. This is the breakdown for kindergarten. So you can see 28% of kindergartners are considered proficient or advanced. Our goal, of course, is to move that all the way to 70%, so we still have work to do. Here's first grade. Second grade. Here's third. Here's fourth grade. And then fifth grade. As you can see, while the progress is happening, there's still a lot of work to be done. And then the last group that we assess with method inventory is sixth grade. So some of this K through 6 focused practice areas that we're working on is really helping to dive deeply into our comprehensive math plan and focus on some specific components of part of that plan, which is our instructional cycle, the routines that are in the classroom, and specifically how the 90 and 60-minute instructional blocks are being used in the classroom. We are continuing to promote and encourage the use of the strategies number talk and talk moves in the class because it helps students really think mathematically and recognize that there are various ways to get to a solution. There's not only one path there, and to talk through that. And then, of course, our CRA sessions, which are taking kids from the concrete all the way to the abstract, so concrete representational to abstract, or in other words, manipulatives to pictorials to the actual algorithms. These are just a couple of highlights of things that are happening on campus. So you can see here some pictures of teachers and instructional leaders analyzing their mid-year data and really thinking about how to plan for that instructionally. The thing about a screener is while it gives us some information at the district level, this is really formative data that's used at the teacher level. Teachers are the ones who know exactly which students this applies to in their classroom, what moves they need to make instructionally, and so these are just examples of teachers utilizing their middle of year data to derive that instruction as they're not summative in nature. Teachers are also here, as you can see, implementing targeted interventions for accelerated instruction and really planning for small group instruction to meet the needs of kids, which is exactly how you would leverage your middle of year data to do. And then we wanted to share a quick spotlight on some of the best practices of how teachers are responding to their screener data. Here's an example of where you can see that they're planning for target instruction and even students engaged in their own goal-setting process. One of the best practices that we work on in the classroom is students having some ownership of their learning, understanding where they personally are compared to where they need to be and setting targets around that. So teachers across the district work with students to set their own learning goals. And then also here's an example of a campus that's focusing on small group instruction, which you could see pervasive across the district as kids receive individualized and differentiated learning based on the outcomes of their assessments. So that's just an overall picture of middle of year assessments that we do with the kids for the screeners. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Works, for that presentation. Do I have any trustees with questions and or comments? Yes, Mr. Wilbanks.
Thank you, President Mays. And thank you, Dr. Wirtz. As the numbers show, we still have a lot of work to do. Math, I am happy to see that things are moving in math, and as you said, there are some green, but let me get organized here with my questions. Let me get to the math section. So yes, back on the math inventory month of the year change by grade, it does look like we are seeing a lot of growth in the proficient and the advanced, but the story is we still have significant gaps with unfinished learning, and it's a little frustrating. I mean, the one thing I'm happy to see is, my wish when we were going through this the first time is having really effective measures on growth. And I think in the M class, in the early childhood years, you did a great job at presenting the data in a way that really honed in on the growth or lack of growth. The second year, for instance, on the reading, the second grade, there's real growth going on there, and in the way, I know that this is more dependent on the way those screeners present results, but that's exactly what we as trustees need to see. Are we growing to a level that's going to allow us to achieve our goals? Second grade was good. Now, kindergarten, first grade are pretty inauspicious when it comes to us meeting our goals. You guys, I mean, the kindergarten was just bad. There's no way to sugarcoat that. The main question, same thing with first grade. There was little growth, a little bit, but again, nothing like what we're going to need to see to get these kids back on track. You guys, as usual, did a great job of presenting us the what you're going to do. But as trustees, I think it's much more important for us to hear the why. So why was kindergarten, first grade, why was the growth the opposite direction of what we need to be seeing? What were those root causes?
I mean, it's not possible to share exactly what root causes are on a screener because it's so individualized. It has to be done at the campus level with teachers. The progression of reading instruction is slower. It's a skill that's developmental, and the pacing changes over time. You're not going to necessarily see huge gains between one screener and the next when it comes to reading. It's not that skill-based. It just takes time. But I couldn't tell you specifically what's happening in a specific classroom. We would have to investigate that with individual campuses. But there is not a specific root cause at the system level for why a student may or may not be growing in like decoding.
But the teacher knows. They should know the why for that classroom and for each individual teacher. And I'm a little concerned that I'm not hearing kind of, at your level, what are some of the things that we see consistently from classroom to classroom and from campus to campus across the district? Because if we don't know the why, then how do we know the what is really what's needed?
Well, I think it takes some time to understand the why. The data we just finished this screener, so we're reporting out what the data is, and then what happens is once we do that, we've met and we've looked at the academic services level, we've looked at all the screeners, we've looked at what we felt like were trends across the system. We've met with principal supervisors and the Office of School Leadership Department to calibrate around those things. And now the executive directors are going to be working with principals to dive deeper in that when they do their coaching sessions with principals, which is where those kind of answers will come. They're just not, we don't have them bubbled up to the district level yet because we're still processing that portion of it, because the assessment, as I mentioned, we just finished it at the end of January.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's, you know, I'm going to give you guys credit because I think you guys know what those best practices are and kind of where you see trends in the gaps, you know, on text fluency, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of know what those good tools in the toolkit are. So, but one thing that another thing I'm concerned when I'm reading through the what, for instance, the grades K through 2 focused, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullet points there. Clearly 4, if not all 5, are PD related.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem we have right now is teachers are overwhelmed and overburdened and are trying and struggling to focus on what's most important, and that's teaching. We know teachers teaching in the classrooms, the one way in maximizing that teaching is the one way to move the needle the most, right? To catch these kids up. And we just had our trustee talk on Tuesday night, and loud and clear what all of the teachers in attendance were saying is they don't have room for more PD, but yet that's exactly what we're prescribing here.
Well, most of it is job embedded PD. So we have to keep in mind that when a student is struggling instructionally in the classroom, it's directly related to the instruction they're receiving and the gaps that they have. So it takes time. So the first point is if students are struggling across the district in text fluency, it's so individualized by school. There has to be a way to go into all these classrooms and make generalizations about instructional practices that are happening. And it looks really different from school to school. There is no specific tool that a system has that would allow the district at the district level to basically look into every classroom and understand exactly what happens every single day as instruction happens. The data that we pull up from the screeners simply inform us about outcomes, and then principals and teachers together in PLCs can collectively analyze that data, try to understand how their instruction in the classroom is matching the needs of their students and make adjustments. It doesn't necessarily mean that the practices the teachers are doing are not good. It just means that it takes time for kids to respond. The reason why there's PD is because at the system level, that's what we offer. That's the support we provide in terms of coaching, working with teachers, helping them refine their practice, working with them in PLCs, in lesson design. That's all kind of couched under the umbrella of professional learning because we don't have students. We don't work with the students directly. Our way to students is through teachers. So that support we couch it kind of under the umbrella of professional learning, but really it's not just sitting in sessions because we haven't pulled out anybody. In the last 2 months, we've been in a pause. Most of it will be in this job embedded kind of environment where there's a PLC and supporting coaches as they work with teachers in the classroom in terms of planning for instruction. Even the coaching that we were doing with teachers has turned into going in, observing, modeling lessons, providing them with feedback. We've even adjusted that in the last 2 months. So it says PD, but it really is a more job embedded. It's not really sessions. The sessions that you're seeing are really those that are coming in the summer, which are like summer impact kind of training and things like that, and the reemphasizing of certain practices in the summer. But we haven't been polling, and there's not an intent to pull teachers from classrooms to like inundate them with professional learning sitting in sessions. It would be providing support during the school day on campus is primarily where most of that stuff happens.
Yeah, as a consultant in the business world, you know, I'm sure you've heard the term Six Sigma, but you know, the goal of that is to improve manufacturing or any process throughout business by finding the defects as early as possible and fixing them when they're the cheapest, right when the defect occurs. But before you can do that, you have to ask what's called the 5 layers of whys.
Right.
And I'm not hearing the whys. And I can help you out here. One obvious one, or that I can theorize, is we've had a major disruption with lack of teachers and lack of subs. And I'm sure that's impacted our youngest learners the most. I'm not sure, but I don't have the data. I'm not the expert. You guys are. Is that one of the whys of why kindergarten reading suffered over this from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year assessment, screener assessment?
I mean, we haven't run some analysis that looked at every classroom where there was a sub and how many days a sub was in the classroom versus the ones that were coming and going and students that were gone for COVID and students that weren't. That's a really complex process. I don't think that there's any cut and dry answer. Even if that was a potential theory, there are so many factors and mitigating variables that could impact a student's ability to progress at a certain pace. I couldn't call that out, and I wouldn't feel comfortable coming to the board and saying it's because they're subs. I think intuitively I agree with you, which is anytime a student's not have a teacher in front of them, that would impact their learning, which is why we spent all of academic services into the classrooms to support as much as possible. But even with that, half our sub jobs were still struggling. So I think you're right that it would have some sort of impact on learning. I couldn't tell you whether it impacted the screener outcomes, and the reason being is because screener outcomes really are looking for how instruction's making progress over the course of multiple months, and all those little variables really are handled at the campus level. To try to understand the exact root cause, you would have to go classroom by classroom, teacher by teacher, and that's not something that you do at the district level. We can only come up with larger ideas, which is why we collaborate with the executive directors that work with principals who take those and STEM questions that we provide of things they should be kind of like encouraging and diving deeper in with campuses and principals and teachers to see if they can identify exactly what the root why is at their schools and then just adjust instruction. But there isn't like a specific system-wide thing that's going to solve it, frankly, because if that was the case, we would do it. It's just a lot more complex than that.
Well, I'm not asking for a
Yeah.
system-wide, I'm just asking why.
Yeah.
Why are the numbers that bad? And I know that it really does matter, and I'm a proponent, the fact that it's difficult to manage 53 different elementary campuses, not to mention our
Right.
secondary campuses with, I don't know how many classrooms in each of those 53 campuses, multiplied out with 20 to 30 students in each one. It's a lot of data, but it's something that we do all the time in business, is analyze those trends and bubble up from the bottom up those why questions to see what systemic things do we have within the system as a whole that are preventing us to get to our goals.
Right.
That's what we do all the time in the business world, and we need to be asking those why questions at those classroom levels, the campus levels, and at the system-wide level to know that these whats even have a chance of helping solve the problem. And
Well,
I think that's going to cause anyway, enough of that. I really do need to stress that we need to be focusing on the whys.
I don't want to give you the impression that that question's not being asked. It happens at the campus level, but as I mentioned, the data is fresh, and so that process takes some time, and that's what the EDs are currently working through. Yeah.
Okay. My final question, I think it might be more appropriate for Dr. Lopez. I'll let you be the judge. I think I can't stress enough that the way the in-class data, I know this is probably limitations of the systems, really did provide us a crystal clear way for all of us as trustees to see, yes, we're making growth in the right direction, or in the case, in the case of second grade, but in kindergarten, we've got problems. And to contrast that, when I go to iStation, in your charts, they're percentile based. So we're gonna have a standard distribution and kids are gonna fall along there in that cohort from year to year. The numbers might change correct, and this is where I'd like Dr. Lopez, correct me if I'm wrong, because this wasn't my major. But this is really just showing us that, that distribution within the 5 levels is just gonna shift around, but it's not gonna, it really doesn't provide us a measure of growth.
Well,
we're not seeing people go from a majority of our students come from does not meet standard to a cut standard to this is where we need them to be.
Well, there's two ways you can look at it, and part of this is the limitation of the vendor and the way data is reported out. We don't create the percentiles because the percentiles are not representative of the cohort in Arlington. It's representative of all second graders that participate in iStation and where that cut point is.
Good, that was, okay. I thought it was just amongst that cohort, so.
No, so what happens if you look at like the screen I have in front of you, you can see how our distribution is in terms of growth by area. So in essence, if we wanted to see how growth it does, you can simply look at what percentage of students were at proficiency level 4, 5, 3, 4, 5 in text fluency for grade 7 in beginning of year, and what percentage of our students, how the coloring of those bars changes as they go from middle of year. And then percentile rank kind of gives us a sense about how they're doing in general with the kids that participate on iStation. It's just a challenge.
So this is, to be clear, percent of students over the whole country that participate in iStation, not just our students or that classroom students.
Right, they give us a percentile ranking based upon their cut points, which are generated from those that participate in the assessment by age.
Okay. All right, that was my final question. Thanks.
Mr. Wellbanks. Mrs. Fowler?
Thank you, President Mays. This is a lot of information, and I think we can all agree that things are not really good in AISD right now as far as the kids and the missing knowledge. I mean, I realize it's everywhere, but it's concerning to me right here in Arlington. So let me ask, we've got to find, I think, additional ways to try and catch the students up. So are we thinking about offering more summer school? Because there's not enough time during the school year, and that's too much pressure on teachers and students. I think we're gonna have to find another way, and I know nobody likes to think about, year-round school. I mean, but of all times, it would probably be very beneficial to not miss any learning opportunities.
Right.
But that's another conversation. But do you think that we'll have additional summer school sections on all the different grades?
So we have summer school that we're planning right now. Will be offered for pre-K all the way through 12th. We've extended the amount of time that for the school day that they'll be with us during the summer months. Simply because we had session 1 and session 2 last time, and parents were holding their kids back for session 2. They didn't want to send them. So to mitigate that challenge this time, to get more time in, we just added more time to session 1, so they're there for a longer period of time. We have worked on identifying who are the appropriate students to invite to summer school. And so basically we've looked in advance and say which students are the ones that are struggling. We're not basing summer school recommendations based on whether you pass STAR or not, but we know already by looking at data, you can get a sense of which kids are just having challenges, simply like even looking at the data that you're looking at today. So we are making recommendations of students who should attend for all those grades. And then of course in high school we'll have credit recovery as well as first time accelerated course credit for those high school students too, and there'll be 2 sessions. So yeah, it'll be extended to all grade levels again, and we anticipate there to be a large number of students that participate, as we saw a large number last year.
Right.
So yes, and then of course there's House Bill 4545, which is well underway. We have a system in place for us to see exactly which kids are receiving House Bill 4545 tutoring, the number of hours they've already received in which content areas, which students are not attending, and able to support and ask parents how we can help them attend and which schools we can support who are maybe struggling to make that happen. So those are 2 additional strategies to help give extended time, because I think you're right. There's only so much time in a school day, and when you have lots of catch up to do, sometimes it just takes time, and that's one way of giving time.
And will there be more campuses involved in summer school? I know we usually pick a couple of high schools, junior highs, but will we have it available?
We will have it available to all students. Not every single campus will have their doors open simply because there's some construction things happening, so we just work around that, but we don't minimize who can participate or prevent anybody from participating, and we even provide transportation to get them there. So if for some reason there is a school where the programming isn't there, the kids are moved to the closest school there, and we transport them. But there's no I guess I'm saying we don't reduce their programming options or limit the number of students at their school who could participate. If you qualify, you qualify.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's going to be important, and I think that could be that little boost
Right.
that a lot of students need before starting the next year.
Right.
Plus, to just keep their learning going rather than being out for 3 months and then trying to come
Right.
back.
Yeah, I was at Region 11 today, and we actually did a presentation there about the summer school programming that we're designing, and we did it in Birdville also. And one of the things that was mentioned is summer school is really about trying to mitigate the least amount of regression as possible. It rarely solves problems because it's not enough time, but it's intended to slow that process down a little bit and get kids there faster when they come back to school. So we are excited about our program, and we have some good resources, so I think it should be really positive.
Thank
yeah.
you so much.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mrs. Fowler. Ms. McMurray.
Thank you, Dr. Wirtz. Can we go back to the slide with the kindergarten literacy mid-year change?
This one?
Yes. So I noticed that there's just a striking disparity between word reading growth and then phonemic awareness digression. But that surprised me because
Yes.
they're related. So can you shed more light on?
We are asking that exact same question
Okay.
to Mr. Wilbank's question about the why. That's one of the questions that we're trying to understand
Okay.
in terms of our data, because we had the exact same wondering. Why is their word reading going up and phonemic awareness going down? And we just need to dig into the assessment to figure out the parts and the instruction that's happening there. But we had the same question.
Okay. And I've talked to a couple kindergarten teachers just to see how their data looked.
Right.
And they did mention to me that it's not until the 5th, 6 weeks that they introduce to their students segmenting words into individual phonemes. Do you think this was assessed before it was taught, perhaps?
I don't know that that's the case.
Okay.
I don't know that that's the case.
And I'm wondering, because I know we offered the Fountas and Pinnell, and we're trying to keep with the science of reading, and, you know, as there's a shift in literacy, we have to, and, you know, Reading Academy is teaching us more from the state, we have to make sure that the resources we offer our teachers align to that. So are we placing enough emphasis on phonics right now versus the more outdated practice of sight word city? What do you think?
No, well, our expectation that we've articulated, and that's in the plan even, is that there is 30 minutes of direct instruction around phonics in the classroom, and we provide a specific curriculum to do it. One of the questions when we were doing our discussion with the Office of School Leadership and Academic Services kind of coming together and looking at the data and trying to understand what was happening is we had a conversation specifically around phonics instruction in the classroom and also access and use of the Amplify lessons that are provided as interventions for students who are struggling in these areas as they are assessed. And we're actually in the process of investigating, like, is that happening as it's supposed to? And where can we support it if it's not?
Great.
Because the expectation is not the second half that you described, it's more of the first.
Great.
Yeah.
And I know we have that, you know, the Fountas and Pinnell, and I know that the IFDs get very specific in
Right.
what needs to be taught and when. I'm just wondering, you know, we've got ESSER funds. We have so much that we can invest in kindergarten literacy. Are we truly providing enough supplemental resources so that our teachers can truly have what they need to deliver a 30-minute lesson on phonics every day without having to click around or find something on a website or whatnot? And so that's just something, I know Mr. Wilbanks touched on this, but it's just something I really think is worth investing in. Our kindergarten cohort right now, they were not affected by a school shutdown or anything. These are our new students. So it's just a thought that I had, and like I said, I was just really surprised by phonemic awareness versus word reading, and
Right.
so it's just something I want to keep an eye on.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. McMurray. Dr. Reich?
Thank you, President Mays, and thank you, Dr. Wirtz, for all the information. And I know this is pretty fresh, and you're still working and sorting things out. I just want to ask, from your level overall, and not looking at the subcategories, subdata, did you have targets that you were hoping to see with this MOI versus BOI data? Any specific growth targets? Were there surprises in this data, both positive and negative? And I know you've talked about the great progress that we're seeing in math, kind of maybe unexpectedly, and reading a little maybe worse than expected. So that's kind of what I want to hear for our level. Where were your overall surprises compared to targets? And then we can go further down the road later.
No, the primary area that, so we were really looking at all of the subtests because there are so few of them. If you look, for example, the slide I have in front of you, there were only 5. So we really want to see growth in each of them. The areas that we really kind of honed in on, especially in primary grades, is phonemic awareness, as Ms. McMurrow mentioned. The surprise that we had, honestly, is that it's flatlined. Because even when you see the amount of growth that's there, if you actually look at the trend data, it just looks like it's kind of just doing this. And so the conversation that we all were having was, why is that happening and what can we do to fix it? Because if we can't increase the pace of it, that's where our problem is. Yeah. You might go green here and green a little bit as you're moving along, but you have to see large amounts of green to get past that point. And staggering along with 1 or 2 improvement points really, in essence, turns into a flat line. And so that's really where the surprise is coming. Keep in mind, this is like our first stab at a 1 point to a 0.2 since COVID. Like, we're finally back in school in a normal environment, and this is our first stab at 1 point. Well, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, kind of normal, from 0.1 to 0.2. And so it's kind of like you didn't really know exactly what to expect completely, because teachers and everyone assessing their individuals is only the second time we're gathering all the data at system level, and then having these moments that you're describing, which is, what does this mean to us and why is this happening? So one of our big conversation points was specifically around phonemic awareness. Where is this flat line happening? Because it's a trend that actually persists itself across multiple grade levels. Are the kits actually being leveraged, which is a point of investigation that the executive directors will do in the campuses to try to understand, is that 30-minute block actually taking place in the classroom as it should, because the data should be responding a little bit differently to try to understand that. And it's just going to take us a little bit of time to understand. We had to extend the window for assessment through the end of January because there was so much absenteeism that we had half of our students that just had not taken it. And so it's really fresh off the press, to be honest with you.
Right.
But that's the conversation that we spent a lot of time talking about, was around that and systems to understand that in the classroom.
Well, that's great. I appreciate the answer, and yeah, this is the first stab at it. We're just getting going again, and I think that's important for all my colleagues to truly embrace. I really appreciate all the efforts, and yeah, there's an insurmountable amount of analysis that will continue to happen, because I know you have such an intelligent approach on all of this to improve the outcome. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Reich. Mr. Chapa.
Thank you, President Mays. Dr. Wirtz, I was noticing, throughout that this is data that comes from assessments that were given during January, which was, as we all know, a really disruptive month in terms of staff being available to work, classes being combined, student attendance because so many students missed some school lengthy amount of time because they were either actually had COVID or were sick and had to stay home. If they followed protocols, it'd be for 10 days, or were quarantined because they had family members who were in the same situation. So because of that, how do you think, is this data valid given the amount of disruption that we had in January?
I think I can't have any reason to think that it wouldn't be, because the teachers that teach the students are the ones that assess their students. It wasn't like we combined kids into class and a random teacher just gave the assessment. To my understanding, the teachers that teach their students did the assessment, and they would have only been able to assess their student when they were there.
But before you go on, what difference would it have made who administered the assessment?
It wouldn't, but it shouldn't matter. But the reality is that sometimes it does, because kids respond to their teachers differently when it's their own teacher and they're young. Because M-Class is a little different than like iStation, where you just go online and take an assessment. M-Class is more, it's teacher to student individually. And young learners respond better to prompts from people that they know, and so I think that would make a difference. But I don't have any anticipation I don't have any reason to believe that this isn't valid. But to Mr. Wilbank's point, there is always a possibility that could be a variable. It's really hard to know. I can't even look at past trends for M-Class and say, well, what typically happens in January compared to now, because we've never used M-Class before. So it's that question is a good one. It's one we would ask about a CA or even a benchmark. People will say, well, did the kids take the test seriously? And the answer is, well, if it was in this scenario, I would be able to go back and say, oh, in January, how do we typically perform compared to now, even pre-COVID? I just can't with this, and because it's the first time we've ever done it.
You know, so given that, and given that we have the disruptions, we have, it sounds like, new and different types of assessments coming online, like, what is the takeaway for us as a board? I mean, I do appreciate, this is not a criticism, I do appreciate this is a lot of data, but this is a level of granularity that we as a board just generally aren't engaging in. And to me, and I reviewed the slides, and there's some data points here that I find interesting, but on the whole, if I look at this presentation, compare it to the presentations we've had over the past few months, at some level from the 50,000, 30,000 foot view, it's a lot of noise, right? And I don't know what's the noise I should be paying attention to and what's just static. So what from this and all the new things we're doing and everything else going on in the world, what is the takeaway that we should have as a board from our governance perspective from this data?
I mean, this data is really actionable data. This is data that teachers use in the classroom. It doesn't really change our policy or practice in any way. I think what Dr. Rice, his question was, is probably one that I would say is relevant in this setting, which is what's the specific target and how is that kind of generally going, and how is that impacting the practices that you're doing when you're working with principals and things in the classroom, just so you can have a sense of how we're responding to it. I'm not sure necessarily, you'd have to tell me how meaningful or helpful knowing this level of data is. This is how it's reported out, but we could be very happily, if it's more helpful to you, pare it down and tell you, here are the big themes that came out of it, and this is how we've responded to it, and this is what we felt like might be the root of it, once we can get that answer.
Sure.
But I hear what you're saying, and to be frank, that question is the same one that we even have to grapple with at district level, because screener data, while it informs some things for us, the real use of screener, where it's most helpful, is where kids live. And so our goal really at the system level is to try to understand what the trends are, provide what we believe could be supports, and we offer those supports over to the executive directors who work with principals, and then they in turn look at their individual schools, identify where they believe the root problem is, and then they direct and help the principal say, you might consider this teacher group might need support with this, and this is what's being offered, or here are some questions you need to be thinking about. That's how we kind of collaborate with each other. And we're happy to elevate some of those things for you as a board if you want to hear some of those strategies that we're working that are kind of like more umbrella-like. But the sentiment in terms of the granularity of the data, I hear what you're saying.
And if I could just, speaking only for myself and not for the rest of the board, I love data, but I'm finding that this presentation and others similar that we have been getting, to me, is I can see how it informs campus level decision making and is very helpful to teachers, like you said. And there was one slide in particular that came up with different strategies and different tools that you're using, and I recognized a few words, and I was like, the only person on this board who probably knows what all of this means is
Sarah.
Ms. McMurrow. And so I just find myself thinking that if there is a way to extract those things and take that umbrella higher level, more actionable things for us to look at as a board as opposed to a teacher level or classroom level, I would appreciate getting that data more here, and maybe if anybody wants to take a deeper dive into this, then doing that. But I'm having gone through these now, and again, not a criticism because I know how hard you're working, but I don't find, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with this as a board member, because it looks very similar from month to month to month.
I understand. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chapa. Mr. Hogg.
Thank you, President Mays. Well said, Mr. Chapa, because you can go deeper in data than I want, but I can't go that deep. It was a little deep, and I agree. Ms. McMurrow understood half of that. Dr. Wertz, thank you, though, for being honest and disclosure in this. These are never easy conversations, right? And I think to follow up on what Mr. Chapa said, it's okay for us to have these difficult conversations because we're looking for progress. And as a board, we want to see that we're making progress. And we know the work that's going in. A couple of people have said, if anything, it is disruptive. And we understand that. That is part of it. But how are we helping our staff progress? And as a board, we want to see from a high level how we are progressing and what we're doing to get to those progress. I'm not a teacher by trade. I come from them and I married them, but I don't. It's not my career in life from where it is. So it is understanding, but I am a community member like so many other community members who want to see how we're progressing. So I think following up on Mr. Chapa with those statements of how we do keep it on, y'all know I'm an outcomes guy. Like, how do we get to the final outcome? It may be messy of how we get there, but let's make sure we're getting to those outcomes. So showing that we get to the progress on those. One thing I did have a question on, and I've heard it, one teacher invited me, and then it was last minute, and I couldn't go out to see the kindergarten curriculum assessment. I talked to multiple other kindergarten assessments, and we look at those kindergarten numbers. I keep hearing the same common theme from multiple kindergarten teachers that are using these iPad minis to assess this, and I think that's how I was taken on this. And kindergarten teachers are usually pretty happy people. I think they have a love for children, so they don't. Some of them can complain, but most of them don't. On that perspective, I've heard a lot of complaints saying our kindergartners are having a really hard time assessing these and taking these assessments with iPad minis. From that, do you think there, and I'm not asking me for an answer, is there the way these are being assessed potentially not helping us on some of these results? And I'm probably countering what I just said because I'm going a little too deep on that, but it is a question I've heard from multiple people.
I haven't gotten any feedback about that at all. This is the first time I've heard that, to be honest.
Okay.
So I'll look into it.
I can forward you any emails we need and connect you. But
That's fine too.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I've heard that from multiple, and then as someone with a kindergartner, I asked her how the assessment went, and she said fine. So I don't know. She's also in kindergarten.
But we'll look into it.
My kid's probably using iPad too much, so she probably did fine on that. From that, but that is something I have heard. Just for your feedback on that. But otherwise, we know how hard you and all staff is working, and it is not going unappreciative. But we also know we all as a district and as a board have very high expectations, and we know we're working towards that. We know we have a lot of challenges still to come over. So I thank you for all your hard work, and I appreciate this whole board as we've taken this on to say, how are we going to talk about student achievement more? These are difficult discussions, and we're never going to reach the peak of student achievement. We're always going to find things we can do better, and we know that's how. And Dr. Cavazos, we talk about this a lot. How are we always progressing? How are we always progressing? And that's the thing we're guiding for. So I thank you and staff for all the hard work, for what we're doing and this type of discussion. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Hogg. Thank you, Dr. Wirtz, for your presentation. Always in-depth, always appear very excited to share the information that you do present, and that's a good feeling. And I appreciate the information that you provide. I think I share some sentiments with my colleague, Mr. Chapa, and Bowie Hogg, and what Dr. Reich said earlier, and what I think I'm sensing from you as well. So I don't know that this is hard for you to hear. I think maybe inside you're going, yes. But I think what it does do for me is that as a trustee, is it just says that you know what you're doing. You're doing your job. You're doing the digging. You're all looking at the analysis. You're looking at the data. And not just you, I mean the whole team. The question that I got out of all of this is, if we're talking about summer school and the gap, which is closing the gap, I know is the target that we're really trying to get to. We talked about summer school normally being about retaining the information that you've learned so that when you start, like you said, you're not so far behind. I think for maybe this year, maybe the next year, that summer school is more of still trying to capture that information that you were trying to retain. So with that being said, when will or have y'all started looking at the need, the number of students that you may identify, the number of students that parents may be interested in putting in, the locations, the resources that we're going to need, in addition to even the teachers. As we understand, everybody is tired.
Right.
Everybody's working so hard, including our students, that we're going to have all of those resources, including the human personnel, to get what I know that y'all are looking to be able to get and give during the summer.
Yes, so we started planning for this summer in August of last summer. So right now we pretty much we're just putting the final touches on it, but we have the number of students that we anticipate. We know how many teachers we need, what schools they're going to be at, what curriculum we're using. We know what enrichment opportunities will be available for kids at the elementary and junior high grade levels. We know which courses are going to be offered in high school. It's pretty much transportation, working with crossing. It's pretty much planned. It's really just a matter now of executing. Jobs for principals, summer school principals were just posted, and they will be in the process of hiring teachers. All of that, all the logistics of opening school in summer is, I would say, like 99% planned at this point. So we've been working on it for, as soon as summer ended last year, we started the next round. It takes really, honestly, there's such a collaborative effort that is required for summer programming across so many departments of people, not even internally, but also externally, that the level of planning that the team has to engage in with a stakeholder group of people, actually, to plan it well, it just takes months of time to do. So we're at the place now where we're launching. So we're just putting the last finishing touches. I've showed the draft. We're almost to the very end, so.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, that is my question. Out of all of this information, is to make sure that every student that needs and or wants is going to have the opportunity and a place to go and a warm body there teaching them with the instruction. And it sounds like that's the direction we're going in.
Yeah.
And of course, as you know, if there are any other additional resources or things that are needed, knowing that that's the expectation for all of us, board, administration included, that information be brought so that we can have those discussions in
Sure.
time.
Thank you, President Mays. And so I wanted to weigh in after we had some robust discussion, and it seemed like we had a robust discussion. I'd just add that, we've all identified the challenge during this time. I mean, this is the challenge. It's data that is fresh, if you will. I think the big point today is that it's actionable in the classroom. I think that's important. I think calibration about what level of data to present to the board that is informing, but also something that can be acted upon if there is a need by the government body. I think we face a challenge in this recovery period, much like our teachers do, and that's differentiating our support, differentiating our planning and strategy across a large district. So that's why when you hear things like big strategies, and I'm just going to point some out, they may not be the most popular ones in the world, but when we do a pause, for example, it may work very well for some teachers to pause, and other teachers need more support. And that's not a deficiency. It's just they're dealing today with things they didn't deal with pre-pandemic. You have students with so many gaps. You have them all in the same classroom. And coaching and those kinds of supports may be necessary for some teachers. So we're very careful, disciplined. We know that the pause, for example, just as an example, was necessary because there were so many gaps in staffing. So now the thoughtfulness is, all right, how do we restart some of the things to provide the appropriate support for the teachers and the staff and the campuses that need it? And that's always a balance. It's always a balance. And I credit Dr. Wirtz and Dr. Brown for their collaboration with their teams to try to make sure we have enough support and not overwhelming support. So as much as coaching and things like that are difficult during this time, it's also difficult what teachers are trying to accomplish. accelerating under any situation is difficult and challenging. To accelerate students, accelerating under a situation that we're recovering from is even more challenging. And I just got to tell you that I thank the teachers, every teacher in this district, because of their effort and their dedication with the most trying times. And I see it in the classrooms, I see it in the campuses, but I also know that it takes a team. And one piece of data as a screener, for example, to Mr. Chapa's point and everyone who's spoken about this, we have to keep in perspective. Because the perspective for the district and for students is about growth and about catching up and being prepared to continue to progress. So this is not a one-year situation. Unfortunately, I know people sometimes don't want to hear that, but it's not a one-year situation, it's a multi-year situation. And students across the district have been affected by this pandemic. Even this, like Mr. Chapa said, even this last 2 months. So from a governance standpoint, I think that's the same discipline and kind of discernment that we all have to kind of collectively as a team make sure we stay true to. Because the needs continue to change, and we, I think, as a system, continue to adapt to that. But to Dr. Wertz's point, as he's made many times, there is no one single answer. There is no one single test. And in many ways, we have to trust the teachers that are in the classrooms doing their work. Because the biggest thing that has changed in this district is the fact that we have gone and are still going through a pandemic. That's the biggest disruption. And when teachers have to respond to that, systems, we all have to respond to that, we know that we have the right people in our buildings, from principals to teachers to assistants, drivers, etc., across the district. And so our faith is in people. And I think that this is a demonstration of, yes, it's frustrating for all of us, because we want that growth and that acceleration to just supersede. But we also know that this is also going to take some time. So I just appreciate the support of the board and the feedback. And to Mr. Hogg's point, and we've always been, perhaps we exemplify that even more tonight, we've always been about transparent conversations, difficult conversations, and getting to root cause. However long that takes, however way we frame it, and I'm just proud of our district for being an environment and a culture where we can have these discussions. And then Dr. Wertz continues his work with campuses and with his staff, and Dr. Brown continues, and our assistant superintendents, and all our team continue that work. But I just appreciate the support of the board and the transparency of our staff and the culture that we have in the district. And I take just one more time to thank our teachers that are in the classroom every single day doing this work, and I just sincerely appreciate them. Thank you, Ms. Mays, for letting me say that.
Well said, Dr. Cavazos. Dr. Wertz, thank you again.
You're welcome.
Appreciate the presentation. Okay, the next discussion item on the agenda is our 2019 bond update. Dr. Cavazos.
Thank you, President Mays, and yet another opportunity to present information to the board and have a series of questions that I know will be very engaging. So we have a bond update, and just again, transparently, we've been planning a bond update, and then we have more things added to the agenda, and then different things change, and then board meetings change. And so, Mr. Horn, it's finally the time we're going to have a bond update. So I just appreciate you, Kelly, just off the bat, and take us through this bond update and give us some of that information.
Certainly, President Mays, members of the board, Dr. Cavazos, and Dr. Lopez asked that I have Lisa give 10 minutes on the clock, so we'll do that. She's going to hold me to it. Thank you very much. I'll just jump right into this. Much of this you've seen the format that we'll go through tonight, and so I'll jump straight to the next page here for just a moment. So this first slide just details for you the funding for the bond and how it's broken out amongst the 4 different groups, and so that's familiar with you or to you as well. So then this second slide just kind of gives you an overview of where we're at to date with our spending. I'll call the numbers out really in the totals or the things that you'd want to look at. Our budget, that $505 million and change, represents the first 2 phases. Our issuance number 1 and issuance number 2. And then, of course, our encumbrances are our commitments, those things that we have POs out for, purchase orders out for at this point in time, and then the expended dollars, and then what's available. You can see just below that the total cost for issuing our bonds to date and the interest and additional proceeds that we have, leaving you with a total available funds at the very bottom. And then I'll just kind of jump into the various groups. First is our facilities group. And so you can see there the dollars that represent the first phase 1 and phase 2. We have just recently issued phase 3. And so at the next report, I'll have that added in here. But you can see what we've expended to date and how that looks in the chart to the right. And then our total available funds. That number, while it looms large at this point in time, that's really representative of the projects that we have that are just now coming online, which is Webb, Thornton, and Berry. So that spend will decrease quickly. But then right behind that, of course, we've added in issuance for phase 3, so it'll jump back up. But we have, we're not front-loaded too much, but we have a lot of our very big projects right in the very beginning of the bond in phases 1, 2, and 3. This gives you an idea of, this does capture all 3 phases because we have issued for phase 3. And so the numbers were a lot less pronounced in the design category when I presented last time, but with phase 3, we've added those in. So we have a large group of projects that are now in design, and I'll detail those for you here in just a bit. But you've seen much larger numbers in the past when I do this, and especially in 2014 when we had close to 150 projects open at one time. So this is the calm before the storm for us. So it will get a lot more busy as we go along. Then looking at phase 1, I'll just point out a couple of things here. Most everything is in construction at this point. We were very successful. The city council gave us approval to move forward with Glassby Field at their last meeting. So we're very, very excited about that. And so we're full steam ahead. That'll jump straight out of design and run right over into bidding pretty quickly with Martin. And so I expect to have those projects out to bid possibly in March, and then we'll get started on that. Now, the high school projects are always longer than the elementaries and junior highs. We generally run over a school year and 2 summers. So you'll see those on the books for a little bit longer than you will some of the other projects. But in the closeout portion of phase 1, of course, is this building. Our Food Nutrition Services Center, the Crow Leadership Academy, where we had our last CBOC meeting recently. And I know a lot of you came out and got a chance to see the tremendous changes at Crow. And then our playground replacements project for phase 1, we've finished all of those completely. And and you'll see in just a bit where we are with phase 2 and phase 3 of that particular project. Just jumping through some photos, hopefully you've had a chance to drive by and see some of these projects. Gunn is really just coming along great. We'll be about 5 to 6 months ahead on that project, and I've mentioned this before, I believe, but if there's one positive from COVID, when school was out, we were able to really pour ourselves into the construction at that project, which really it just helped us because that was going to be a very challenging project with students in the school all the time. So we'll take that positive, right? And it's beautiful. It's really, really coming along nicely. And these pictures are a little older, but they're the most recent photos that we have, and so you can see the progress we've made there. Then at Crow, I mentioned this a moment ago. Many of you saw this when you were over. To have 10 new classrooms, that wing that you see in the top left, all with restrooms in them for pre-K and K, is tremendous, and that's some of the work that we're going to continue as we go through our elementary schools going forward. This is just the rendering of Webb. I put it here because I wanted to remind you of what we're looking forward to, and I'll jump straight over to the next photo and show you kind of where that's at. And so if you look back at that picture a little bit, you can kind of see that in your mind's eye. You can see how it's starting to take shape. And so but as you drive up and down Cooper, you can see the progress they're making on a daily basis, and so it's coming along very well. And then of course our Food Nutrition Service Center, that was a really great project, and gave Mr. Lewis some much needed space in that new freezer that's over to the right. And if you think it's cold outside, just go in that freezer for a little bit. So, and then this building, this has been a great facility. We're starting to work through all the little bugs and so forth, and it's getting better each and every day. We still have our challenges, but we work through them. And, but I did find one thing we forgot in this building, and that's Kleenex dispensers at the back table, because that first presentation we had tonight, it was a tearjerker, I think. So we all sat back there with tears in our eyes. But no, it's the boardroom is beautiful, and the building functions very well. And we have close to 450 people in this building every day. So then our playgrounds, and I'll talk more about this in a bit, but those are just great photos. If that doesn't kind of choke you up, just to see the kids playing on that and see the excitement, I don't know what would. Then just a couple of small projects, but they're still significant. Shackelford and Jones, we'll be closing those out probably within the next 45 to 60 days. We'll start that process. But those schools are receiving a lot of ADA improvements, both inside and out, as you can see for the exterior ramp at Shackelford. And then Jones, the primary project there, priority there was the kitchen addition, to give David that much needed space to be able to feed kids more efficiently. Another quick look at what to expect for Berry. We've cleaned that site off completely, and construction, I should say, for us, construction has started. It doesn't look like it for others because it's site work. You know, we're moving a lot of dirt. We'll start doing all the underground, managing the stormwater and so forth, but that project should start to come out of the ground. Well, I'd say somewhere in around April, May, you'll start to see things coming out of the ground good. Same thing with Thornton. We're moving ahead very well with Thornton, and it's really at the same stage. So Berry was about a month and a half behind, but it's caught up with Thornton, and so they're both at that same stage right now where everything that's going on is site work, moving dirt and installing stormwater drainage and utilities. And then, of course, we had the recent groundbreakings at both those campus locations, where the kids you can see here in the pictures got a chance to throw dirt with board members and superintendent and other people as well. So that was a really exciting time. And hey, we dodged the weather bullet on both, didn't we? So it was a great time. And then two very small projects. You know, we have pull-out projects, as we call them, throughout the bond, where we have projects that we need to pull forward and that represent great need. Maybe something's happened. In both of these cases, Ashworth and Johns had pre-K patios that where they go out and play and do artwork right on the ground with chalk and that sort of thing. And just the movement, the drought and so forth caused a lot of movement, so we had to tear those out and replace them. And so those are the kinds of things that you'll see from time to time that we accelerate or bring forward. We also do that with HVAC projects when there's a need and so forth as well. And then I mentioned the phasing of the others. So phase 2 is well in design at this point. Those, by the next time that I present, most of those will be moved over into bidding and even into construction. So we're moving along very well there. Arlington High is probably the biggest project in this one, and so we'll begin to work with the board construction committee that's over that project to let you preview the designs. We look forward to doing that maybe next week or the week after, and then that will push us to SD presentation to the board, and we'll move on through the process of construction and so forth with that one. But that will be a very long project, very noticeable project on Cooper and Park Row as well. So, but that'll take probably 2 years to complete. The other projects below are just as significant. We'll also bring to you the schematic designs on Bailey, because that's a significant addition for both office and classrooms. And then phase 3, so we've issued the funds for that at this point. Those projects are also assigned to architects. We did that back in the fall, and they're full steam ahead in design. We'll move Lamar and Cravens and Key likely over into the design category next week. They've been working, but we have kind of two phases. We have a planning where we do the charrettes and we meet with principals, and then we move them into design, where that just sends it straight over to the architect and they take it from there. So, but those will start to move over pretty quickly as well. Phase 4 is just a list of the projects. We've not started those yet. Those we'll select architects for those later this year in the fall, and then but we'll do that after one significant piece, which is I'll remind you all that we talked about putting out an RFQ for architectural services again to supplement our first round and add to the pool. So we want to give architects a chance, maybe those who weren't successful the first time, to have an opportunity to join that pool. And that'll be much needed because on the back end of this, as you can see in Phase 4 and Phase 5 projects, we'll have so many to do, we'll need the extra help. So, and there's our Phase 5 projects as well. This next slide is one that I'm really proud of. We talk a lot about our hub commitment, and we challenge ourselves internally. We do this, we track this internally, and we push really hard to have what we call matching events and meet and greets, and we try to match our general contractors with hub subcontractors in the area and around the DFW Metroplex. And so you can see from the first Tier 2 hub participation commitment, that's the commitment that they make at the time that they bid the project. And generally, they all bid or they all commit to a percentage greater than 20%. So that number is always going to hover right around there. But what's really significant is when you look at the actual achieved to date percentage. And this is early in a lot of projects when you typically don't see a great percentage of hub commitment or hub participation because it's with subs that typically don't represent that community. So, and we're at 32.97%. So we finished the 14 or close to finishing the 14 right around 22 or 23%. So this is a significant improvement, and it will go up and down as we go through. But we're really excited about where that's going. Then I'll just a couple of slides on the other pieces, and at some point I know that fine arts and technology and transportation will present as well, but we do help them to track their dollars as part of the overall. And so what I can tell you about fine arts obviously is that their spend is for items like instruments and uniforms. So it's it can take a little longer during the course of the year, but they're making good progress on their spend rate. In looking at the technology, safety, and security slide, we all know that's primarily for refreshing devices or adding new devices, and so they're well where they need to be on their spend rate as well, and doing a great job. And then finally, transportation. This is of course our buses and our white fleet, and they've done a really great job. Everything that they have at this point that they've had issued, for the most part, has a PO or an encumbrance against it, or it's been expended at this point. So this will be the last time that I really bring this slide or these slides in around the facility relocation, and the reason why is that East Arlington planning is going just like we expected. All the schools are now in construction or they've completed, such as Crow, and so we've in earnest. We've started the construction in January, and so we expect to have both those campuses, meaning the Thornton and Berry campus, open in May of 2023, and that is a bit earlier than what you might think because we always target, right? We always try to have it ready for August, but these are new schools. We want to have time to move furniture in. We want to have time to let the teachers and the principal move in early and get used to the school and learn how to operate it. And so that's the purpose for doing so. So with that, I'll entertain any questions you might have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Horn.
Yes, ma'am.
Mrs. Fowler.
Thank you, President Mays. Mr. Horn, this is wonderful. And thank you. I know you have spent hours upon hours upon hours helping with designs and bids and going out and checking on properties, so thank you for that.
Sure.
And I think what's really exciting is this is not only going to be so great for students and teachers, but for the neighborhoods. Right. I mean, exactly. They are getting these big, beautiful new buildings, and it just makes the neighborhood fresher and newer, and so I think we need to think about that too, that it's wonderful for the students and teachers, but it's really a nice thing for the neighborhoods. So thank you for all the time you have spent in making everything really perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Fowler. Mr. Wilbanks.
Thank you, President Mays, and again, thank you, Kelly. Having been in Crow and Gunn and even the new, thank you for your tour of the food freezers, and yes, they are very cold. But that was before the pandemic and the shortage. They were nice and full.
They were.
I'm sure they're pretty empty right now with the shortages of food. Congratulations, too, on juggling this East Arlington. I thought, man, that's got to go just right, or we're going to be in deep trouble midway through, and it seems to be going smoothly.
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Fake wood.
That's the real stuff, by the way, though. It is, not so much with that.
He
yes.
knows.
Yeah. No, the designs are phenomenal. What we're doing in East Arlington, as Mrs. Fowler said, is just really going to change those communities significantly, giving and encouraging parents to come and be in the community, to be involved in those schools. Even I was involved with the the Webb Elementary, and didn't get to go to the groundbreaking, but that school also looks phenomenal and much needed. So I know Gunn recently had a preview, I guess, for the kids who are going to matriculate up to 6th grade. And I can tell you the feedback from all the parents that texted me or talked to me, they were blown away. And I think that big atrium, you showed a picture of it, still had white walls, but you've paneled that with the wood, same wood that's on the floor, leading down into the library. And I think they had an orchestra playing there. And the feedback I received from the parents, they were just amazed at the opportunities we're giving their kids. And that, again, that building is phenomenal. There's still a lot of work there. You said it's ahead of schedule. What is the expected closeout date on that facility?
On Gunn?
Yeah.
We expect to be done or complete with Gunn in and around May, June timeframe. So, and initially we were slated to go all the way into the fall.
All the way into the fall, but it looks like next year, the students will be able to go back without the what they call the big corridor of
That's right.
plywood. So no, that's good. That's great news. And then going back to the East Arlington, I guess the final big domino to move. Right. When I use domino, but the big rock to move there is, of course, Carter Junior High. And
Correct.
So we've raised Thornton, where that is going, correct? And when are we due to break ground on Carter? Is that phase 3?
Mr. Wilbanks, Carter's not going where Thornton was raised.
Oh, Knox, sorry.
And
Sorry,
Knox is still in existence. That's our temporary school.
Right.
Yeah, all right.
But you can answer.
I meant Knox. I meant Knox.
Yeah.
I thought
No,
Knox is not raised, so that answers
I didn't want to
that
concern
question.
anybody who's
Yeah, thank
listening
you.
from-
That was a
from
slip
those
up on my part.
schools.
So we'll start construction, so construction will commence actually in and around, because we'll start doing dirt work and we'll start to remove portions of the park, Westler Park, ahead of time. And I have a meeting with the city coming up with Parks and Rec pretty soon here in the next few weeks to discuss that. But we'll target that time frame for commencing construction right around May, June of 2023. When we have a clear indication that those two schools we'll make our delivery and that sort of thing. And so we'll target commencing there. We'll do a lot of demolition work through the summer of the old, what's now the temporary Thornton facility, or the old Knox facility. And then we'll begin construction, probably doing much of the dirt work and that sort of thing in the fall. And so we'll have approximately 16 months of construction on that facility before we're ready to open it up. So we'll be looking at the fall of '25 at that point. So.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering if that was a phase 3 or phase 4.
It's a phase 3, but it's such a big project. It'll take 2 years to construct in earnest. And so we've started the design work on that now. And in fact, we will be bringing, once we have the board construction committee look at that, we approached Dr. Cavazos with the design, or with the beginning design just this week. So we'll try to set up time for the construction committee to look at that, and then we'll bring it to the full board as an SD package within probably 30 to 40 days.
Cool. No, awesome stuff. Final quick comment. I guess to most of our students in the district, the most important piece of this package is, of course, the playgrounds. And I can tell you from anecdotally that driving by a couple of the elementary schools with new playgrounds at recess time, they seem to be well used and well liked. So kudos to you on those as well.
I was gonna mention this, and I just kind of glossed over it a minute ago in the presentation, but to the point of what I talked about with Phase 2 and Phase 3 playgrounds, we're on target with Phase 2, but Dr. Cavazos and I and Ms. Moss, we talked about bringing forward Phase 3 a little bit on the playgrounds, primarily to control costs. Costs for playground steel, in particular steel, concrete, plastics in general are just going through the roof. So we're going to go ahead and buy that playground equipment for Phase 3 early with Phase 2. We've already issued the POs for that, and we're going to accelerate the design on the foundations and so forth, and try to bring that forward a little bit quicker. So the good news is all the playgrounds will be in faster than we thought, and the kids will be excited.
Kids will be excited to hear that, definitely. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Wilbanks. I don't see any more lights. Thank you. Dr. Reich?
Okay.
Thank you, President Mays. Forgot to hit my light. I just wanted to say thank you for everything that you're juggling and coordinating. It's phenomenal what impact it will have on student learning, which is what it's all about.
That's right.
I just wanted to touch on the hub participation, that 33% basically where we're at. As you, I think, know, I was the primary instigator of the whole hub MWBE thing, so that just makes my heart sing looking at that. Hopefully, they, like you said, 11 flow, hopefully it'll stay there, maybe go up. With regard to the next round of RFQ on architectural services, is there anything included in that process related to Hub MWBE
Absolutely.
to identify minority firms and that
Right.
type of thing?
And that's really what we're after, is we're looking for the smaller firms, those that have difficulty competing with those larger, large house firms that we use.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're really after. And to help to promote that, one of the things we're looking to do is we've already told the firms that are here with us in the district that are part of the pool, they don't have to propose. So that takes 11 to 12 firms right out of the mix. Those large firms are already here, or the larger firms. And we have some very small, we have a three-man firm right now that we use in Dallas, or out of Dallas. And so, but we're really looking for more hub participation, and the smaller firms, maybe more local presence with who we bring on in this next group.
Will you work with any group or consultants to help identify those firms, or work with like the Arlington Black Chamber of Commerce to notify them, hey, here's what we're looking for, we need your help in identifying people to consider putting their name in, that kind of thing?
We'll absolutely do that. We'll work through our purchasing group, and we'll make sure that we hit the Hispanic Chamber, the NAACP, the local group, and so forth, so absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Exciting.
Thank you, Dr. Reich. I see no more lights. Thank you, Mr. Horn, for your
Very
presentation.
welcome, my pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, the next thing on our agenda is our open forum for non-agenda items. Mrs. Benjamin, do we have any requesters registered to address the board regarding non-agenda items?
President Mays, there are no participants in the waiting room at this time.
We did have a registered speaker, though, Mr. Fisk, registered to speak. He had indicated he wanted to present virtually. We emailed about the timeline, but he's not in the waiting room. Okay. He was in there earlier. I guess he may have had something he had to take care of. We'll do it another meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Benjamin. I was gonna say your voice dropped quite a bit there. It's Frank in the back. Okay, then we will move on. The next item on our agenda is our superintendent's report. Dr. Cavazos?
Thank you, President Mason. Just a couple of items to report on, and that is congratulations to our two top spellers from our area spelling bee. They should be on the screen. Shackelford Junior High Terrence Williams was our first winner, and he will represent Area 8 at the Regional Spelling Bee at next month at TCU. And Ryan Farnell from Young Junior High is our Area 7 champion. So congratulations to these students, plus all the students who participated, as this was, as always is, a challenging event, but they did extremely well, so congratulations to these two students. We have a lot of great events coming up in the district. Just take a few minutes to share of a few. On March the 8th, we'll have our annual College and Career Expo, and that returns to an in-person format at the Dan Dipert Career Tech Center. Great opportunity for junior high and high school students to get an idea of what they want to do after high school, as representatives from college and local businesses will be there. They have breakout sessions for parents, and so this is a great event, well attended, and we're glad to have it back in person. Tomorrow night promises to be a big one for Sam Houston High School as it hosts its annual Black History Month program. The event will feature performances from several Sam Houston organizations, a tribute to former United States Representative and civil rights activist John Lewis, and a preview of the upcoming documentary series Echoes from the Hill. The series will explore what life was for Black residents in the 5-block area in Arlington known as the Hill. The event is free, and you can find out more details on our website. If that wasn't enough, our Center for Visual and Performing Arts has an awesome event coming up, and that is on March the 5th. The United States Army Field Band and Soldiers Choir will have a free concert at CVPA titled America the Beautiful. It's part of the spring tour for the 60-member band and 29-member choir. This event is free also. There is a limit on tickets because it's very popular, and so limited to 6 tickets. You can get those by going to our website. Next on our superintendent's report is congratulations, an item from last time. I thought we would finish the report here and congratulates Bobby Brown III and Justin Hollins. Those former Arlington ISD students are now Super Bowl champions. And congratulations to them and the rest of the Los Angeles Ram team. And then finally, make sure you wake up early Friday morning. Bowie graduate Sylvia Hoffman will begin her quest for the gold medal in the 2-person bobsled competition at 6 a.m. That's a little late, but 6 a.m. If you're awake by that point, hopefully you will be. This will be Sylvia's Olympic debut, but winning is nothing new to her because she was part of, as you know, Bowie High School state championship girls basketball team in 2005. So congratulations to her and great luck Friday morning. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Cavazos. Do we have any school board members with reports? Going once? Okay. Mrs. Fowler.
Yes, so we started our trustee talks, and Ms. McMurrow and Mr. Wilbanks and myself met at the Dan Dipert Center. We had a great group of teachers and community members that were there with us. We did a little presentation, but the best part, I think, was just sitting down and talking with the people that were there and answering their questions, and it was just a really awesome event. And we have another one scheduled in March 22nd, and then there's another one in, is it April? May. So we have 2 more coming up, and those will be on our webpage for you to look at the dates and times and locations. But I'm really glad that we're doing this, the trustee talks, where we're reaching out to the community and just letting them know that we're here to talk to them and listen to them. And I think it was a great turnout on Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Fowler. Do we have any other trustees with reports? Okay, seeing no lights, Ms. Secretary, do we have anything to report?
We do not.
Okay. Okay, it is 10:01 and this meeting is adjourned.